Pardon me. Hello, everyone. 2023, new year. Everyone can finally stop using those jokes of "I'll see you next year," because we're finally here. Hopefully, the world becomes better. It's been 2019. But thank you all for coming and watching. And if even you're watching the episode when it's not live, enjoy the story as we are currently running through Shadow Dragon Queen, the new Dragonlance book, which is very, very awesome and very fun based on the world of Kryn. We're going to be extending the story as for any people that maybe this is your first episode jumping in. And so it runs usually from 1 to 10, and we're going to go instead to about 15, maybe even 20, as there's extended plot that we've written to make this a custom adventure different to other Dragonlance campaigns. But for now, we're just starting off. The players are in Vogler, the tiny fishing town. And for a small interaction of what's happened so far, the players coming together from their tiny preludes, some people joining in with the Wizards of High Sorcery, other people struggling with the outlook of the Knights of Solamnia nowadays, and people in between just living in the world all coming together to this tiny fishing village for what was the funeral of Ispin Greenshield, a good friend to all, an adventurer of past, who told tall tales about many things, whether they're true or false, not really known, but he was loved by a lot of people. The funeral happened, would have been, we're picking up at nighttime now with the players going to sleep, so this afternoon that just went by. And it was a good event, heartwarming, some words said, some tokens given by players. And afterwards, the reception was also nice. It was interrupted ever so briefly by the Baccharis the Younger, but otherwise it was a good event for all. And now the players are simply getting ready for bed for the next morning, which is when Vogler is having their festival, the Kingfisher Festival, where there'll be a enactment in the late afternoon of the great battle when the city was founded. And in the meantime, a lot of people buying many fish-typed goods. But let's meet the actual players that are in this story. So first of all, we have usually the DM in the other adventure, our lovely man Raimi here, who has two characters. Himself and Toby are playing two people, just so that we've got a party of 6, meaning I can throw bigger and badder things at them. And it means I get a higher chance of players, so fun times for me. But you have two characters that know each other. One is a old sergeant of a keep, and the other is a more reclusive female with past unknown. Did you want to give us a brief explanation of just what they look like and a bit of detail about their personality? Not too wise, as we can still learn about that.
Yeah, so I'm playing my main character, my leading man, Leo, man of short words, old commander of the days since retired slash training the young youth to take up his stead. He is a giant of a man, sitting quite tall. Really white beard showing his age, hair kind of neat but messed up a little bit, a few scars over his face, but just a smashing dude. Also, shadowing him pretty much is a very quiet and reclusive Tal. Not much is known about her. She wears some dark cloaks, dark colours, has a sword on her side, but is notably noticed by her white stag mask that she wears to cover her face with these antlers that come off.
Explaining him, Leo really sounds like a combination of a shonen protagonist and Dumbledore, just like melded into one.
He is up for some banging and clanging, but wants to leave the majority of the stuff to the other guys. They were far younger with way better knees.
Lovely. Well, let's go over the other two characters for another regular of the upcasters here. With Toby, you have a person who grew up and is born and bred in Vogler, a tiny, quiet female who's in the healer of the town with her mother, and also another member, one of the maybe current Knights of Solamnia.
Big question mark.
Big question mark on that at the moment. The world has their own views. He has his own views, but there's good and bad to see at the moment. So, who are they and how do they act like? What do they look like?
Yeah, I don't have a main character because I love both mine equally. I'm not a monster like Rams. My first one is Dagar, the Knight of Slomny with a big question mark with a chip on his shoulder and a bad attitude. But he's trying to keep the order alive in his own way that isn't really with the order. So we'll see how that pans out. And then secondly, I've got Relena, the daughter of a doctor or healer, the town healer, who is just out here for a bit of fun. She really has no kind of say in any moment. She's just a young girl who can
Learning the world.
learn in the world, and is just
Lovely. We then have two of our players with interesting characters. Of one, a fire genasi, who is finding his place in the world, being away from home and exploring around now, and the other being a female who is joining the Wizards of High Sorcery and currently on their quest to complete the test of the High Tower. But first, the Genasi, would you like to explain to us, Lachlan, your character, what they look like, how they act like?
Yeah, so I'm playing Fenrir, the Fire Genasi. Average height, I think, around 6 foot, 180 centimeters, 184 centimeters. Tan complexion, bit odd for a Fire Genasi. Hair is black like flames. Often wear like just a leather coat with my hood on, just to kind of take eyes off of me. But that probably puts more eyes on me. Being a rogue. I'm pretty chill. Yeah. Oh, Fenrir is pretty chill. Sorry.
To the naked eye, you would look very much like almost a desert folk human until the hood is pulled down, showing that the tan skin is not due to desert folk, but instead due to Fire Genasi heritage.
Correct.
Lovely. And then the High Sorcery Wizardess. Would you like to explain to us, Geordie, your character? Who she is, what she looks like, and how she acts?
Yeah, so Ada is your average build, you could say, but different little complexion. Hasn't really been revealed as of yet, but she's got beautiful, bright yellow, maybe or maybe not snake-like eyes, and she's just has a lovely little book that she carries around with her that is her absolute prized possession. So, yeah.
Definitely gonna steal it?
No. Definitely not.
Lovely. Our secret member of the group that may be human, but also maybe Yuan-Ti. A lot of people hiding their races at the moment in this mix and match of people that met Ispin Greenshield. But, like we mentioned, last night ended with most of the people finally leaving the reception. At that point in time, it was about 5 or 6 in the afternoon. The sun was finally starting to go down. The orange and purples of the sunset finally disappearing into darknesses of blues and blacks. The sway of the water hitting and all of you being able to hear it from the Brass Crab, as just outside is the same area where the wake was hosted. Some people have already went to bed straight away. Bjorn loves to get his beauty sleep straight away. The support and help of Leo, and the other helper, Thal, is doing the same situation, going to bed as well. Your son, Hedan, is still up at the moment. You and him have a room together, and you can see that he's sort of just unpacking things, shining his armor, buffing it, sharpening his sword over the period of time that you guys are just in the bedroom at the moment. So we'll start with you, as he's sort of just buffing at the moment. Are you just heading to bed straight away, or is there anything on your mind? It was a fairly uneventful but emotional day yesterday. There wasn't anything out of the ordinary, other than probably the interaction with Bakaris, where you just had to pull a young kid in line.
No, I'll probably just go to bed quite early, like as soon as possible. And just sit there and kind of like pretend like I'm staying awake talking, but just slowly do the dad position and nod off, just very
Okay,
early
so
in the night.
you
Been
told
about
me when I
6:30.
swing from left to right, I need to bend my legs about 45 degrees, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then once that's done, I twirl back using the weight and velocity of the blade to swing upwards towards the neck. That way, the first attack is a feint, and the second attack just takes out a soldier. You told me you need to be quick in battle, even though we have big, slow weapons.
And then I'm just gonna like, you know, like when you're sleeping, you're just gonna ramble. So I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
yep, quick, yeah, Jaguars are quick, and then just fully.
He looks over towards you, gives a bit of a sigh, and then goes over and pulls the blanket on top of you and heads back and keeps towards his practicing in the bedroom. At the same time, in the bedroom just beside, sitting by herself, is Tal. Now, Tal had been fairly uneventful and quiet most of yesterday, but that's obviously being in the prying eyes of many other people. What's she doing now that she finally has some privacy?
Tal is jotting down everything that she heard into her journal, which also the front of it acts as her spellbook, the back of it acts as a journal, and she just begins to note down prominent points of who she heard, what she heard, who she met, and she takes a very considerable note to our other wizardy, sorcery, spellcasting, snake-eyed lady.
Yeah.
Very interested in where her powers have come from, and more questions to follow up on.
Could she give me, because it was open for display, and we found this out as it was poking out of the bag that Becklin pushed back in.
The book, yeah.
Yeah, a history check. It wasn't something that anyone was paying attention to on the day, but just in case, as you're thinking about her heading to bed, Tal sort of remembers that piece.
Ooh,
Dang it.
a 15. Neat.
15. You don't remember seeing the book, but you do remember seeing things like a components pouch and certain things hanging from Ada's waist when she did walk in, stuff that you recognize as spellcasting utilities. I would say for Tal, due to her heritage, she definitely knows about the Wizards of High Sorcery. Never joined in, and her father never pushed her to join them, but she did know about them, as her father would have had dealings with some of them, possibly court heralds and things such as that. So the main thing that probably comes to mind is that as on this continent at the moment, on Ansalon, about 80% of casters are a member of the Wizards of High Sorcery. They control most of the wizarding world, more or less, and I use that in a long term. Sorcerers, warlocks, anyone with spell casting, they sort of center around that. So she's your first sort of thought, but with your history check, you know their colors of red, black, and white, and Ada doesn't seem to be wearing any of those colors or have any insignia about it either. So definitely on mind of like who she serves, what she's up to, and whether or not maybe she's been paid by your father. Just worries in the back of her mind at the moment as she's getting ready for bed. Across the hallway and down a little bit, with the pillow ever so slightly being catched on flames and then patting it out, we have Fenrir trying to go to sleep at the moment. What's he doing in his room at the moment? Or is he getting up for a bit of a stroll? What do you think he's doing tonight?
Right now, he's pretty knackered. Been walking around this entire time. Wasn't lucky enough to get a horse or anything like that. So he's just going to try and get to sleep.
We sometimes forget about it outside of D&D, but the interaction with those reptilian creatures and the fight that would have been exhausting, literally Leo being pushed unconscious, happened this morning. Like, technically, this is still the same 24 hours that attack happened. So sort of exhausted from the fight, scaling the tree, leaping through the jungles, all your muscles are just in pain at the moment. Finally sort of put your head down, and little bits of the pillow where you'd been lying on so far have finally scorched to the point where they're not catching on fire anymore, as you sort of just sleep on an awkward patch of burnt fabric. But you're used to it at this point. And lay down, the rest of your body being fine as your hood has a sort of anti-fire aspect to it. Down further from the hallway, putting her bag down, making sure that her book is finally secure this time, we have Ada. What's she getting up to tonight?
Probably not much. She's just be making sure the book's good, it's away, it's secure. She'd probably actually sleep with it under her pillow, probably, or use it as a pillow, depending on.
Sort of like instead of hiding a dagger or a pistol under the pillow, getting ready to fight, it's like my spell book.
Yeah, pretty much.
Lovely. As you sort of slip it underneath, and like a kid hiding things inside their pillow, whether it's tooths for the tooth fairy or other things, but also in a defensive aspect, you pop it under there, making sure that if anything's taken, if your room is ransacked, this is the one thing that you need. As you're laying in bed, you're sort of thinking about the test that you had when you were there in the tower, wondering what happened. You were the first to pass out of all the students that were there, and you were told apparently there was one other person who passed ahead of you in the history of the High Sorcery, not in that testing session itself, which is a grand thing as they've been around for probably millennia at this point. But as you're sort of thinking back to your test, apparently you were told to find a woman clad in black. You're sort of thinking about who you may need to find, where you may need to go, because you've been searching for her for a while now. It's been a couple of months. Give me an investigation check, just as you're sort of laying in bed. Putting pieces together, things that you've sort of learnt about the wizard so far.
Oh, only a 7.
So you're thinking about it, and the only person that comes to mind is someone that you already know, Lady Talia. The member that sort of inducted you and helped push you towards even just being an initiate, which you are at the moment. But okay, it may be her. You have no idea.
Would I know if there'd be like different initiates, like as in like she was one? If there'd be like, if that's like a say a role within the sorcerer, the sorcerer academy, that's like
it's not so much a role as it's sort of like being an intern. You're not technically a part. You could be kicked out at any point in time, but you've got your foot in the door. And there would be other people in this same situation. There's the test that you passed. Like I mentioned, how there was probably about 300 people. I would say roughly about when you finally finished that banquet and that dinner and left, and all the other people either left or just were gone, because you knew if they failed those puzzles in those magical rooms, they just were teleported away back home. And you feared that ever so crazily, going back to your parents and the temple that you were at. But thinking back on it, so there was about 50 other people that passed. You saw a couple of them with the first couple of weeks. Everyone sort of scattered, not wanting to stay close to others, thinking that if you did work together, the wizards would see that as like a weakness because you weren't able to figure out the puzzle by yourself. You needed help. A bit of unfortunate arrogance among all of the different spellcasters as everyone split across the country of Calaman. You headed northeast, and that's why you're closer to Vogler when the funeral was happening. But the first person that comes to mind is Lady Talia, and even if she is the one, you have no idea how to find her or track her. So you're not really sure as you start nodding off to bed.
There was no time frame on having to find her. It was just find her.
Yeah, you weren't given a time frame at all. The next step for the wizard of the test of high sorcery was simply to find her. Upon finding her, that was when the real test was said to begin, the one that was dangerous and life-threatening. So even with the 7, you would guess that if there's no time frame, no money requirements, no location, no riddle given, if it's literally just finding her, she's probably in a very reclusive place, and this is like finding a needle in a haystack. What I will say is, even though you can't put the pieces together, being a mage, you do know that there are some spells that may help you with it, but it's nothing that you know at this point. It's higher leveled things that would help you be able to locate a person. So you may be able to find that as the next step rather than just rambling and wandering around like you've been doing so far. But next up, down the hallways a bit further from everyone else, in a bit of a nicer room. He doesn't know that he's in a nicer room at all. He just sees the bed. It's a large queen-sized bed, big standing wardrobe in the side, some silverware around the area, is Dagar.
Yeah, he's 197, 198, 199, 200, and gets up from his push-ups.
You hears at the door.
I'm just gonna walk over the door and sort of like half crack it open so I can kind of put my eye out.
You see Yalmi standing in front of you, the waitress, the person that owns the brass crab, that enjoys the bad musicians and hires them, is standing there with a mug of milk, it looks like, two of them. Oh, I see, as you're shirtless and sweating a little bit at the moment. I hope you're enjoying your room.
Yes, it's good, thank you. It's very, very spacious, these rooms. I thought they'd be a lot smaller than this, being most taverns I've been to, but very nice.
Oh, I gave you a larger one. I thought that you got enough wrath from the people of Vogler this morning, or just that individual, and so I wanted to let you know that we are a nice town and we do respect you here. So I hope this makes up for it, and I brought you a midnight snack as well.
Oh, thank you very much. That's, yeah, very kind of you. Can I open the door a bit more?
No problem.
Would you like to come in?
Yes, thank you.
You're right.
And she awkwardly shuffles inside and sits down at the little seating table that you have with two seats in the corner of the room, like a hotel, with her sort of mug of milk as well. So, are you staying in Vogler for long?
I'm not sure, honestly. I kind of just came here for the funeral, but it depends. I might talk to Becklin and see if she has any kind of work going around. She seems like she
We have
may
lots
see-
of work. Yeah. There's Vogler has definite need of people to help around here. She's always busy out in the forest handling bandits and stuff like that. So if you were here as well as a second pair of hands, that's a good idea.
It seems like I came at the right time.
Well, you have a nice night. And she awkwardly stands up and starts walking out the door and gives you a curtsy and closes the door.
I'll just kind of blush and give a half kind of bow and go for a shake hand and stop and then bow and then kind of just do a weird.
She's already turned and not facing you when you reach your hand out to shake, not seeing you extending the hand out, and closes the door, and just this awkward interaction as Yolmi eventually leaves and starts walking down the hallway as you finish up the awkward but nice encounter, and you realize that she hadn't drunk any of her mug of milk there, the warm milk for before bedtime.
I'll just close the door and then just walk up to it and just go to slam my head on the stop an inch before and just do it 3 or 4 times and just walk back to my bed.
Across town, we travel from the Brass Crab over the West Side House, the location of where the Baccaris family lives, and more closer to Rivergate, the front entrance. Down in the lower areas, though, not up near Thornwall Keep, and we have a tiny house with a blue infinity symbol drawn on a standard out the front, some wood plaque notifying this building as the healers of the town. The god Mishkatel, very few knowing, as obviously in Dragonlance the gods have disappeared at this point in time, and only certain sages and relics actually know their true details. Bits of remnants have been left behind, and worshippers sometimes just know certain figures and artists or what they represented. One such being is Relena's mother, who it's passed down that this infinity symbol apparently is yet to Mishkatel, the god of healing, protection, and light, and self-sacrifice. And as Relena's mother prepares some herbs and things, getting ready for the hall that is the Kingfisher Festival tomorrow, especially with the Battle of the High Hill, the reenactments that's going to take place. She knows everyone gets completely drunk, completely wasted. They start fighting while they're drunk. There's injuries everywhere. No one's ever badly hurt, but there's always a dislocated leg, some broken fingers, a broken nose as people get a bit too rough. Sometimes people just break bones because they start tumbling down the hill because they're that wasted. And so she's there preparing things. And Relena at this point is up as well, helping her, getting ready as they're both having a bit of a late night. what is Relena thinking at the moment as she's just sitting here preparing medicine?
She's just trying to subtly, but not so subtly, just take as much work away from her mother as she can, so she can go to bed early and she can finish it off. So she just she'll start one thing, get halfway through, and say, "I'm going to pick up something else," and walk over and kind of take that from her, and then finish it off, and then just keep kind of taking jobs off her as she.
It goes on for about 15, 20 minutes, not a very long period of time. Enough that you can tell, as usual, your mother's waiting to see if you eventually stop, and then when you don't stop, she realizes that you're just gonna keep doing it. Okay, calm down. God, you're so fussy. Get that from your father. Okay, look, I'll go to sleep. I'll get a good night's rest, blah, blah, blah. I have a busy day tomorrow, I understand. Make sure that you're asleep in an hour. And she raises up her pinky towards you.
Just roll my eyes and take it.
So you pinky promise back. She pulls you in, gives you a bit of a hug. Good night. Okay, remember, the nightshade doesn't go with anything there. That's saved as a precaution in case lycanthropy arrives. Obviously, it hasn't happened in their entire lifetime. Keep it on the shelf. It isn't mixed in. Don't get it confused for the black root. I know it and the black root look very similar, but we need that just in case.
Yeah, so you can tell the black fruit's by the leaves. I know, mother. Up to bed,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay, fine. And you sort of shuffle her off and start preparing. As Relena's just sitting there preparing with some of the herbs, can you give me not for something you're doing, but I'm just letting the dice decide. Give me an Arcana check.
Ooh, the -1. Ugh. Flat 10.
Flat 10. You're sitting there preparing some things at the moment, and as you're messing around with some of the herbs and spices, you feel a sort of shake in your pocket. Reach down, put your hand inside, and you pull out that same amulet that you had in the vision, the one where you saw with Mishkatel rebuilding itself, but looking translucent and starry like the night sky. It's kind of shaking at the moment. There's no color emanating from it, not like when it glowed in the vision as well. It's just a pendant there with the infinity symbol drawn on it as well in that same blue color. But it's sort of shaking around a little bit. You put it on the table as you're preparing things and it starts vibrating like there's an earthquake.
I'm gonna pick it up again and just kind of hold it. I kind of hold it tight and try with my own hands, try and stop it from shaking.
You hold it in between your hands for a second, and as you're thinking about what's going wrong with it, it sort of just stops. You get a bit of a tingle and a shiver up your spine. Take a look at it for a second. Yeah, there's no one here. There's no other. You open your bedroom door in case the portal's reopened that you saw in your your dream, but it's not there. It's just you see your bed. You see everything's dark as the candle isn't lit in the room. Close the door. Make your way back over to the bench and you keep preparing some things and herbs. As you're preparing the herbs at the moment, can you give me a medicine check and can you add a D4 to it? So the way that you should do that is that obviously this will be one of the first times adding it in is rather than doing it as a custom thing, even though Relena doesn't realize she's doing this, can you cast the guidance spell and roll the dice there? For everyone at home with a bit of history here for Ansalon, in the world itself at the moment, when these disappeared from the world, so did all clerics, worshippers of any god, evil, good or bad, disappeared, being whisked away in a sort of apocalyptic end-of-the-world scenario. Magic is just starting to come back to the world, and this is what we're seeing.
Well, that didn't have my bonuses and stuff. It should be a 12. I didn't have my bonus in there.
I think it did. You rolled a natural 1 on both.
Oh, great. Awesome. Cool.
Despite the fact magic is coming back to the world, it does not in this moment. As the spell did activate, and you're not sure what the shiver up your spine was, and you start preparing some things. As you're preparing it, though, you're sort of focused on the medallion, not paying attention, and you realize, you stop for a second, the smell in the air, You used half of the stock of the Wolfsbane.
I'm just kind of just like have a solid minute of just kind of waiting there, and then
You're like, you stop for a second. You look to the basket. You remember your mother bought that for 10 gold pieces.
I'll walk up to the wall and start.
You try to split it apart as best as possible, splitting
just try and
getting the
make
strains
lines.
and getting bits of sort of knives that you've been using to crush it together, and mortar and pestles, and pulling the strains apart from the herbs that you were mixing with the black root to form the sort of medicine to put over bruises and wounds to sort of cure it as like a balm almost. And you pull as much of the wolfsbane as possible. And then put it back in the basket, and like a broken vase of like a child trying to repair it, there's half wolfsbane looking nice, and then just crushed up herbs directly next to it. You finish up the work after another hour, having to stay up later due to the mess up, and eventually go to sleep with a bit of a late night. The next morning comes for everyone, and from what all of you heard, even though you weren't all participating, you were all invited to go to Thornwall Keep to meet up with Becklin. Supposedly she had something for all of you after the funeral, and she also wanted to have this sparring session, as Dagar had mentioned, obviously the Knights of Solomnia and some of his own past briefly, and not super personal, but enough that Derek Highwater, the young child and apprentice of Becklin, wanted to spar and practice their skills against each other, as he didn't have many chances to be competitive like this and have some fun. And Becklin mentioned that she wouldn't mind sparring against Leo, the more militaristic-looking individual. And so the party has agreed to head over in the morning, meet them at the keep. And after that, then attend the festival of the Kingfisher, which should be taking place not long after this interaction. So, one by one,
Becklin was a
everyone slowly wakes
knight
up.
of Solomnia, right? Or she's
Correct,
she's an
correct.
accepted here, like not
Yes,
shunned.
yeah, she's a current Knight of the Crown, and that's all that you know about her at the moment. She's a Knight of the Crown, and Derek is technically also a member as well. He's an apprentice Knight of the Crown. From what you've learnt so far, you didn't know too much about the Knights of Solomnia, but they enter as a Knight of the Crown as an apprentice. They then become a Knight of the Crown. From there, you know that there's other ones of like roses and spears and swords and a couple of different options. You're not sure exactly what it is. You were never too focused, as you were a member of instead the city guard in the capital. So this is sort of new information to you. You're used to the Knights of Calaman and being there itself. But as things go by and the morning finally comes into its full state, everyone slowly wakes up one by one. Eventually, all making their way over and meeting at the intersection. What you do see over the course of the day is the city preparing. The city's waking up at this point. Some people look like they've already been up very, very early. One such person is your mother, Relena. She'd already woken up and left the house with some of her baskets, getting prepared in other areas. But all of you start to feel a bit of a buzz in the air. The festival itself hasn't started yet. You can see some people with their musical instruments preparing, but not having started playing anything yet. People stringing up ribbons from trees, getting ready for kids to sort of run around in circles with these old medieval toys. But there's festive energy this morning as the locals set up their stalls and hang up their decorations. Ahead of the road, as you make your way to Thornwall Keep, you see it hangs on the edge of a low hill, not a very large area that it's sort of cropped onto, but this ancient edifice. It's very ghostly mist that sort of surrounds it in the morning at the moment. It is slightly raised, and there's a bank of water on the other side. As all of you sort of start making your way through the town and meet at the intersection on Foundry, if you're there, just here, the one where a lot of the main streets sort of enter just down from Rivergate. As you're all meeting up around here at the moment, you all see a familiar face walking out from one of the shops with a couple of things under his arm. Looks like some bagels, possibly bread. You're not sure. You all sort of meet up, giving each other a bit of a nod. But you see Derek there. Good morning, Beckland's friends. It's good to see you all again. I'm glad I caught you. Sort of makes his way out, running towards all of you, wearing the same sort of clothes as yesterday. Colors of Calaman, blues and oranges. Not too much in the actual Knights of Solemnia, as it doesn't look like as an apprentice, similar to yourself, Dagar. He hasn't been gifted a proper set of the Knights of Solemnia plate armor yet, with the horned helmet. Yeah, I guess we're heading over. I hope you haven't had breakfast yet. And you see that he starts pulling out some pies of sorts. He's got quite a lot of them. There's a lot of you, so it was a bit too much to carry. But you're all welcome to grab some.
Thanks, kid. No, grab one.
Yeah, thanks. Starving.
No problem. You all start grabbing the pies. You see that there's a little carving on the top of a sort of Halloween-esque pumpkin, and as you smell, they all seem to be a bunch of pumpkin pies. And everyone starts slowly eating on them as you start making your way with Derek towards Thornwall Keep. So, I didn't get a chance to ask much yesterday. I was trying to be polite. I know that all of you knew Ispin, and he was a great guy. But I can't lie that I'm not curious. I grew up in Vogler all my life. I was born here. I heard stories about the Knights of Solemnia from Beckland when she came and started protecting the village, and I decided I wanted to do that with my life, but I've never left Vogler. The most I've done is probably defended people from some angry badgers. He scratches his head awkwardly. But you all look so cool. What's that blade? It looks like it could lop a horse in half, and points towards you, Leo.
Just a greatsword. One of the more larger and cumbersome weapons, but in the right hands can make any enemy quite bloodied.
I see. Okay. I've only ever wielded a long sword, and he pulls it out, and it's about similar size, maybe a foot shorter. It is fairly long, with its name, obviously, but much thinner and more elegant of a normal sword compared to your guts buster styled blade that's equipped to the back. Nice, cool. And what, if you don't mind me asking, are you magical? As he points towards Fenrir and your hair.
It's just one of the perks of my race.
Your race? If you don't mind me asking, where you hail from?
So, I kind of don't like talking about my past, but if you've ever heard of a Genasi, that's me.
Genasi? No, Beckland hasn't told me about them. She did tell me that apparently there's, up in the crags north, apparently there's elementals that wander, earth and water ones, up in the sweats there. She did say that some of them have stronger versions, like genies, and Dao. You would you said Genasi, are you a type of genie?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay, cool. You all seem to come from so many different places and know so many different things. What are you? And points towards Ada.
What am I? That's a rude way to ask it, but anyway. I'm a person. That's what I am.
Oh no, sorry, I didn't mean offense. I meant what have you done outside of Vogler? I'm sorry, I'm just so interested by all of you. People that are genies and soldiers and these huge great swords. Another knight of Solemnia, the only other one I've met in my life is Beckland, and he sort of shoves Dagar in the side with an elbow softly. I just assumed that you were amazing as well.
Oh, well, obviously you assume correct. Yeah.
God, just ask her.
Just ask me, it's fine. I'm currently, well, not technically in, but I like to say I'm technically in with the sorcerers. So, I'm pretty cool. I'll just
Oh,
yeah.
the wizards of the tower, the wizards of the high sorcery.
Yes, correct.
I thought they kept that all secret.
No, well, I don't.
Oh,
I'm very
okay,
proud of
okay.
it.
As you openly gloat about being a member, just like shrugging your shoulder. um, cool. Does that mean you know like magic?
Yeah. And
Could-
I'll produce a
what's
little bit of a with my thaumaturgy. I think I've got.
thaumaturgy?
Yeah.
Lovely. So
Yeah. I'll
boom your voice
prestidigitation
like,
and make like a little.
oh, okay,
um,
like a bit of a flame and sparkle.
Yeah. Little sparkle
As you
going up.
whisk your hands up and he looks towards it. Wow. And you're not like waved his hand through. You're not sorry, we've seen like people come from Calaman before, charlatans like wanting to get money from they think we're dumb fish folk. But that's amazing. You're so cool. Well, I don't know much, but I do know Vogler. So I know that you mentioned, I overheard you're going to be attending the Kingfisher Festival. Good. So do any of you know Vogler's history at all?
Not really.
Well,
No.
we have a bit of an awesome history as well. Basically, the Empire of Istar, the people that caused the cataclysm so long ago, everything was scattered away. Before that all happened, they helped build the large city upriver, the capital. And when they were doing that, they were fighting over the land, and technically it was owned by Solemnia. They had the rights of the fishing village because it was in a nice place, but Istar wanted to turn it into their own land and started investing into it because of where the port was located. I think Becklin taught me. But because of that, they started, it went from arguments and sort of strife into actual warfare. They decided to have the battle here at Vogler. And the people that were living here, because there was a village here as well, were at danger. As this was happening, Istar fighting Solemnia, a lord managed to rescue and save the people here, Lord Decatur Vogler. So they named the town after him with Vogler, and that's where it kind of got his name from, as with Vogler saving the people of the fishing village. That's actually what they're doing with the reenactment. It's the bandits and the people that worked for Istar fighting the knights that served under Lord Vogler as he protected the people. So it's pretty cool, if I say so myself. Not as cool as the Knights of Solemnia, obviously, but still, it was a really cool fight. Otherwise, the festival's full of music, food. There's some games that they host as well. There's a fishing competition that they run down at the wharfs, and you have a chance of winning some prizes and trinkets that they have there. They have an eating competition with fish to see who can down as many as possible. So definitely worth having a look around. There's lots of stalls that sell stuff as well. But that's probably about it. Otherwise, yeah, that's the town. And he sort of shakes his head, realizing there's not much else to tell us. It's just a small fishing village. But we're nearly here, as you guys start now walking up the slope to the keep, entering into Thornwall Keep itself. As you guys are finally starting to approach up the steps, Relana, already with the group as well at the moment, sees a familiar face waving from the window as you see Thorn, the gnome inventor, staying with Becklin, is awake as well, and you see that he's got goggles on his head and there's scorch marks beside the window.
He just gives him a wave.
Make sure you come up and visit. I've perfected the garden thrower, the thing that I told you that burnt down your mum's house. Hey, what's that for? Look, I promise this time. Gives you like the thumbs up and then ducks back behind. A couple of seconds pass as you guys are walking up, approaching the front door. You see opening Declan, not armored, not similar to how she was wearing her sort of Knight of Solamnia armor in reverence of Ispin. Instead, just wearing a simple shirt, linen pants, her sword still at her side as being the protector and sheriff, more or less, of Vogler. She sort of protects the town and makes sure that she's ready at all cases. But she opens the doorway to you, and as she goes to sort of greet and give you a wave, there's a large explosion, and as a table slams out of the window and smashes 20 feet lower onto the ground right beside all of you. Sorry about that. You're all safe. Okay, ducks back inside.
Didn't he just say it was perfected?
Rena just looks at the ground and shakes her head.
Becklin interjects. Yeah. I'm sorry about that. I promise you'll be safe while we practice here. And she like turns back inside, and like an angry mother just starts swearing and shouting up the staircase, telling Thorn that he needs to pull his headline for the festival, and turns back towards all of you. Okay, sorry about that. It's lovely to see all of you. If you want to come inside first, like I mentioned, I have a bit of a gift for everyone. Something that I have no use for, but I want to send somewhere nicely and not just be left here to dust in Vogler with me. After that, after I've gifted that to you, we can head outside, and I know Derek is very excited for the sparring. You see that he's already walked away from you guys, and he's got his blade out practicing against a dummy at the moment, trying to get the upper edge against Dagar. He's very enthusiastic. He's been practicing with me for about 10 years now, right, Relena? You guys are about the same age. You started practicing medicine with your mother, and he started practicing and came with a sword here. It was just about when his parents left to go back to Calaman, and he had the choice of staying or leaving.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But yeah, if you'd all like to come inside, I see you've already had breakfast. I got Derek to come and grab you some of the pumpkin pies from town. But yeah, come in. And she steps to the side and ushers you all in. So, as you're all making your way in, you see the keep itself now. There's a single staircase that kind of goes up, a small doorway left and right. You see one is already open. It seems to, through the doorway, you see bookcases and a study table, where it seems to be maybe her research area, possibly. To the right, the door closed, and then the staircase going up seems to go to a couple of doors just on the left side. The keep isn't huge. It's enough to obviously house her and maybe some other people, but definitely just seems to be an old, like, watch keep for the town itself, not used anymore. If you come through here, and she ushers to the door to the right with the door closed, I've prepared a couple of drinks and whatnot, some refreshments for this morning, and the gift for all of you. But is there any questions anyone had? I know that there's a lot of information right now. You guys have just arrived. There was the interaction you said with those lizard-like creatures, which I want to talk well before the Kingfisher Festival. Is there anything I can help put to rest for any of you?
Yeah, how Dagar steps forward. How often do you come into band encounters and stuff like that in this town? So you're kind of the acting authority around here, and is it a common occurrence?
The last time we had some ill intent was 3 or 4 years ago, I think. So not that long ago. It's every so often. As you see that she's trying to like convince you and convince herself that she actually has something to do in the town as the sheriff. But yeah, it's not too bad every so often. Apparently there's some stuff happening at Calaman, and the soldiers at Calaman have it sorted, and I send letters back to the higher ups. Obviously there's still not a High Lord in the Knights of Solamnia, as you know yourself. No, the measure is stopping that at the moment. But I send letters to them asking if they need my help or aid, and they tell me they need me here, so I guess that's when they need me. Twiddles her thumbs awkwardly. But yeah, come in. I'll show you the gift. and you all slowly make your way inside. You see this area seems to be the eating area. There's a large table, probably about a 12-seater, seats along either side, some cups set up along just one end of it, and she takes her seats down at one of the sides, not even at like the head of the table, definitely like humbling herself. You see that she does sort of a bit of the measure. She pulls her seat out, takes a seat, as she does, puts her fork to one side and to the other, and keeps her elbows off of the table as she puts instead just her forearms directly on the table. But she doesn't do the proper bow that you used to see your old master do, Dagar. She seems to be trying to follow it to the best and being a good example for Dagar, is what you would just get with like your passive insight, but doesn't seem too strict about it. And you'd already seen that earlier as well, back at the wake as well. But you see the couple of drinks spread out on the table, and you don't see any sign directly on the table of what she's mentioned about this sort of gift for all of you. So, as all of you know, Ispin passed away. He was out on an adventure. He'd already solved the problems that were there. Apparently there were some gnolls that were attacking a small farming town inland west in the sort of grain farms. He went and dealt with them, but one of them was using poison-tipped arrows. By the time he arrived back to Vogler, to me, Raylene, your mother wasn't able to help him, unfortunately. We don't have any magic that can do things like this, like the big cities, and there wasn't enough time to send him to Calaman. He didn't get enough time. But still, he came here and wanted me to invite everyone that he did know. And the one thing he wanted me to give, because he didn't want it to sit, and I don't have a use for it. Cudgel doesn't have a use for it. Cudgel's got her own gear. I need to wear the Knights of Solemnia armor. As she reaches like on a chair and pulls it out and pulls up, and you see the green with the large leaf on the front shield of Ispin Green Shield. He wanted it to see some action still. He knew that it had some glory days ahead of it and would magically protect someone, apparently. I don't know who best of you would use this. I know that none of you even together, so it's really awkward to give a gift to a group of strangers. But whoever would make best use of it, I'd love to give it to them, as it may just be a shield, and you may already have a shield, but it continues his stories and his legacy. So there, and she slides it across the table and puts it sort of in the middle of all of you, sitting down with your drinks at the moment.
So, too small for me. Someone else take it.
My sword requires 2 hands, so I hope someone else take it.
I don't even think I could pick it up. It would
As
be an honor to
everyone
wield. I just
awkwardly
can't
slowly looks over it.
Relena kind of chimes up and says, "The only combat I've seen is with thorns, so I don't think I really have any use for it."
Does Raylana use a shield?
She doesn't got any weapons on her.
She does have proficiency in shields, though. Yeah.
She does. She's proficient in shields, but she hasn't got any. She hasn't got any weapons. She hasn't got any armor. She's got a satchel full of like medicine.
To be honest, at this point in time, it doesn't even make sense for her to really take it. The wishes of Becklin at the moment is that someone that's going to have use of it takes it. There's like an awkward silence, and she notices, I'm sorry, this is awkward. I shouldn't have pushed this on you. Now someone has to feel that they have. Don't feel like you have to take this. Know that obviously I myself, I'm trained in the long sword. I can see you're trained in the great sword. You've got a short bow on your back and points over to Fenrir. Obviously, you have what you can do, Ada. Your quieter friend there seems to be a bit more of the agile type with her gear.
She gives the shuckers.
Dagar, I would assume, have similar training to myself, and the Knights of Solemnia aren't trained to wield a shield. They can, obviously. We know how to, but we're instead taught the best defense is a good offense. This is awkward. Look, I'll keep it here at the keep. And if one of you, as you're leaving the village, even just thinks that you know someone that could possibly use it, you're welcome to take it, give it to them, because I would personally still like his final wishes to be met. That was the last thing that he wanted in life, and Ispin didn't want for many things. But yeah, she passes the shield across. Now this is all of your first time after, for some of you months, for some of you years, seeing the shield itself, since you sort of traveled with him, and also up close. Usually he always wielded it. Just in case he was telling the truth, can everyone give me a Arcana check?
Oh, good heavens.
Oh yeah. Oh baby,
Oh,
this is my specialty.
Who am I missing? One person.
Relena.
Raylana.
Yeah, she's.
Relena.
Yeah.
Leo's,
Never-
it's just a shield. It's just a shield.
Even with a 16, Tal and Fenrir, you can see that the shield is well kept. You're not really sure if it's magical or not with an Arcana check. Everyone sort of leans in and takes a look at it for a second. Just maybe. Nothing sort of quakes. A couple of you even like touch the edges of it. There's no spark or feeling or anything like that. Ada, you take a look at it, and for the slightest of seconds, it looks like the leaf inside, the sort of jade picture of the leaf, like waves like it's in the wind, very softly and briefly, like a leaf moving. And then you look back to it and like clear your eyes, rub your eyes for a second, and it's not moving. And you're not sure if it actually did or not. Even if it did, that means that if this shield is magical, the best it can do is have a moving picture on the front, as far as you're aware at the moment. But again, it just seems like maybe Ispin was telling tall tales, as he usually did. As the shield sits there, there's a quiet moment for a second. And then rushing in the door, goggles on head. Relena! Relena!
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
I swear to God, if you set me on fire again, she gets up and walks.
You start walking as very obviously and loudly she's grabbed your attention and start heading up the staircase. At the same time, you see walking in the front door Derek, who gives Relena a bit of like a nod and a bow as well in his own awkward way. And eventually then goes to the door, looks inside, looks towards the shield, and waits a second. So about that sparring. Yes, Darrett, we will go. Like a puppy dog. After the sparring, I would like to bring all of you in. Ada, Fenrir, Leo, Tal, Dagar, just to discuss the dealings with this lizard folk, whatever it was, Yuanti, creatures that you saw, whatever those things were with the wings. Dagar, obviously you came from some other land as well. You mentioned you were from Nordmar.
From the Eastwatch up there.
Yeah, you may have some history, obviously. I know that there's swamplands up there. Ada, I know that you've got your own skills that can help with this. And the other three, I know that all of you actually dealt with the creatures. If you after all of the study, I'll obviously be with you, but we'll reconvene across there as you guys are starting to walk out of the room now. Derek's already sort of ahead of everyone. Meet in the study, and I may have some books that we can read over and try to investigate what those creatures are. Even if we find out it's not as dangerous as we suspect, and it is not some empire sort of waiting up in the labyrinths north, we may still at least learn about what they are. I might have some texts here. I've got some old things back pre-cataclysm, and we might be able to learn about the enemy, and knowledge is the first step in victory, obviously. But give us a wink towards
May-
Leo. Let's see what you got.
May I go use your study now and get ahead of this reading, as I am no sparer?
No, that is.
I would also like to join you in the library. I'm not the most intelligent man, but I do believe in study is a very important part of battle tactics.
Okay.
Dagar is super keen. I heard him saying it last night. And I give him like a little nudge and walk off with Ada.
Also the classic like a white guy smile and just...
Okay, no problem. As those two head off. Dagar, I can head and study with them, but if you think you wanted to spar myself and Derek, one at a time.
Why not?
Okay, no problem. We'll do some bouts. Me and Derek, and then you and Derek, and then me and you, and we'll see who comes out. A little mini tournament for Kingfisher Festival. Sounds nice. And starts walking out with you as Leo, with the knowledge attainable in front of him, completely forgets about the bout that he had prepared, and starts heading off.
Tal also trails behind, like, ooh, books.
Yeah. And Fenrir, as you sort of just follow behind Dagar, wanting to take a look at how some people find you. You know a little bit how to handle yourself. You've learned some things off the streets with your friends, but this is a chance to see like actual martial combat.
Yeah, and I want to see what the kids got.
Lovely. You see what Derek, this individual with aspirations. So, first of all, with everyone starting to split the party as we head into Thornwall Keep, we'll go to Relena. You walking up the staircases and finally reach his room. Like I mentioned, there's those three rooms on the left there, and it's for Thorn, Derek, and Becklin. Thorn opens his door, and you guys walk inside, and you see the splinter marks and shattered remains of where the table used to be, an explosion underneath it from where it sort of lifted off and took out outside of the window, and then bits of wood like stuck into the grit in between cobblestone hinges as you see the remnants of the explosion. Okay, so what I've worked out is when things are pushed together hard, they act volatile and combat, even on a tiny scale. And he goes over and you see two vials. These, one's like a red liquid and one's like a purple liquid. When you put these together, they cause a large explosion. And what I did with the fire spitter, Mark 1, the thing to get rid of the on your mother's lawn, I'm thinking about renaming it the fire thrower, similar
and the window and the door.
Yeah. Anyway, obviously the goblin thrower was a success, so I'm thinking if I name it the fire thrower, the name might have some sort of an influence, because it was my first successful invention. It might make this one successful as well, like the power of positive thinking. I read that somewhere. Alongside that, I'm thinking that instead of adding it all together, if I add them slowly in a drip system, where drips of either liquid interact, then rather than a large explosion and burst of fire, instead it might slowly form some sort of flamethrower. What do you think?
And what's the purpose of this?
To maintain lawns.
Wouldn't the fire just kill the grass?
Exactly, then it doesn't grow back. You never need to mow your lawn again.
Oh, okay.
Okay. What? I don't think Mum's gonna let me use her lawn again for the trials. So maybe somewhere in the keep.
No, Becklin told
Not
me
near
if I do
trees.
anything, she's gonna take away my inventing privileges. She's already let me stay here at Vogler. Um, what if we take it out into the trees?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
The forest north, no one's going to see us. I
Mm-mm.
know that there's only the mercenaries up there, Cudgel's forces, the Iron Brigade or whatever. But yeah, we do it in the forest, no one sees us.
Or you go down near the shore where there's lots of water, and we have like a little fail safe not near trees that are very flammable.
No, I tried that as well. Umpton, the Wharfringer, told me that if I burn any of the ships, he's going to charge me for all the fees that his son Nassius has waived, and I don't have that kind of money. Unless, do you have 15 gold? In which case, I can pay the fees, and then we
No,
can
I
do
don't
it down at the
think
shore.
gold. No.
Okay.
Do,
Okay.
do you think maybe if all these people are telling you not to, there might be a sign from a higher power that maybe this invention gets shelved for a little bit?
No, I told you, Relena. They told me that I couldn't do it, and you saw with the gnome flinger, I finally succeeded.
No, I'm not saying it should be stopped. Just maybe refine till later. Maybe work on something less flammable first and work our way up. Get some trust back with some more successful inventions, and then bring out the big shining stuff when we have everyone's trust back.
You give me an idea. Trust. What if I gained their trust back with a new invention? Something that helped their lives. That way, they trust me because I helped them.
That didn't involve fire. For now.
No. Rather than fire, so the combustion here heats up to the point where little family secret, I put gunpowder in the invention. That's why it creates fire. But technically, the mixtures of the liquids don't actually create fire. They create heat. Fire heat up the water, the river running, the Vingard River running past Vogler. I could kill all the fish in a single go, and we could farm the entire fish in a day.
I don't think that's how fishing works.
He turns away and puts his goggles on and starts wrinkling away.
Or you could maybe refine it down to something much smaller and start with like a small bucket or a pot, and then maybe people could have like, you could make baths, like warm baths quicker. You know, instead of people having to go and make a fire underneath the bath and heat up the metal tub and all that time, you could just have this a little thing you could just turn on, and then it warms up this tub, and then you have an instant safe warm bath.
People in Vogler don't bath too often, though.
Yeah, but they should. Maybe that's what they're missing. It's an invention they need.
True. You are always complaining about wanting to be hygienic, but I just thought that was because you were female. Okay.
Pretend I didn't hear that.
Oh, we're friends. You're fine. Gives you like a shoulder in the gut and knocking the wind out of you a little bit. Okay. Scurries across the floor with his tiny little like hairy feet.
I'll kick his back, like his back foot out.
He trips over. Okay, I'm sorry. You're lovely. You're a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I told you, gnomes are just we have a hard time holding our tongue. Okay. Well, I'll work on a smaller scale and see if I can heat up Becklin's bathtub. And I'll use Becklin as my test dummy. That sounds good. Okay, easy.
Just maybe tell her before, just in case.
Yeah. I'll remember. I'm good with that. And you remember instantly back to when you tested the gnome flinger, and Thorn forgot to tell you about the parachute invention that he had. He was just going to throw you in the gnome flinger without a parachute.
Okay.
I'll remember. Okay. Well, look, thank you. You obviously need to get back to the festival with your mum and start looking around. But you got some cool friends there. I saw one has the fire hair and stuff like that, and that big folk looks like he's a bloody troll. Are they friends of yours out of town?
I haven't really met all of them yet. They seem like they're gonna get yesterday. Like two of them look really hurt. Like they look like they got into a fight or something. And I feel like if were to spend long enough time around them, they would just attract danger. So I feel like they're not the kind of crew to walk around with, but they seem interesting. I mean, they probably have some wild stories to tell.
If they're used to danger, maybe they'd want to test the bathtub.
They might actually. Maybe the one with the fiery hair, he might like it.
Okay. Good idea! Oh my god, he'll love a fire bath. Okay, easy. I'm gonna get out to it. Well, bye. And he pushes out the door and closes the door. Outside, as all of this was taking place, we have Dagar and Fenrir walking outside with Derek and Becklin. As you're sort of limbering up, Dagar, stretching some muscles, give me an athletics check. And Fenrir, as you're walking outside at the moment, can you give me a perception check?
I'm rolling awful. 11.
15.
15. As you're sort of stretching, unfortunately, you're not in your younger years now. You're 30 years old. You're still just an apprentice, haven't gotten much further into the ranks of the crown, and all of this sort of just blaming from that blibbering idiot, your old master, Virus. And you feel for the slightest second your age sort of coming to you when you pop your knee for like the slightest of seconds. You quickly like step and put it back into place, and you're still spry. You're only 30, but this is like the calling signs of when you start to see like bits of grays in your hair for the very first time. This is like one of the first few times that's happened, and this onset of frustration.
Like half use my sword for like a walking stick for like couple strides to get the move it back, and then kind of
shake it a bit as you stretch it out, and it's good and back to usual. Fenrir, as you're making your way out as well, everyone's practicing, and they're starting to get sort of closer to the edge of the keep, just where my sort of area and mouse is at the moment on Foundry. Everyone's sort of just on the edge over here near the water at the moment. As they're preparing, and everyone's walking out, you see a bird sort of flying in the sky up near the sun, catches your attention a little bit. Seems to be like maybe a hawk or something. Seems to be fairly large wingspan, arcing around. And as it's doing so, you see it sort of just like halts and then just falls to the ground into the water. And you see at the water's edge, down further a bit along the cliff, a couple of members of the Iron Brigade. You see some of them there with bows practicing, and you see standing among them seems to be a fairly large creature, taller than Leo. Seems to be maybe like he's 10 or 11 feet tall, a large axe at his side, and this gigantic bow that he sort of pulled the string and shot the hawk out of. Has colors of the Iron Brigade, but isn't wearing armor. And you sort of just notice them chatting, and they seem to be just doing some hunting at the moment. You see some of them firing down into the water at fish, and other ones firing at like seagulls around the area. Don't have to head over to them, but obviously they catch your attention. You like spot them at the moment practicing, in case you did want to maybe speak to them after the sparring has happened, or even to see what they're doing. As from what you'd heard from Cudgel, when you spoke to her, their forces were meant to be about a mile away from the city, so about 30 minutes north, and Cudgel had given orders for the Iron Brigade not to come down here, not to come to the village, not because they're dangerous, but just not to cause a ruckus at the festival. She didn't want like a serving mercenary group coming to this sort of nice, calm festival and causing problems and being boisterous and stuff like that. So it seems like there might be some people that have ignored the instructions, just having a bit of a casual time fishing at the moment and hunting. Finally, however, leaning down in a long pose, 20 years old and in his prime, you see Derek sort of leaning back and forward, stretches his arms back. Okay, let's do this. So
I get slightly jealous when he like squats down and gets back up without hearing any clicks.
So Becklin's taught me the deals with the measure. Greet each other, walk away, bow, turn, face, fight.
Have you been into a real fight besides training?
No.
Great. I feel like now is a good time to learn. Like people, if you are to go out with Beck on one of her adventures and stop some pen or something, they don't fight with honor. So you probably should learn that. I'm gonna kick him straight in the chest. Just Sparta kick him.
Give me an unarmed strike with advantage.
He's about to learn today.
Literally.
Natural 20.
It's an actual-
Really?
Yes. Oof.
Oh my god. Wait, did you call
Does he have
that,
to do a
Lachlan, or
saving
did you...
throw? Yeah, I called that. Yes.
Okay,
Does he
I
have to
thought
do
you
a saving
saw
throw?
it. No saving throw with this. This was just seeing whether or not he's AC. And really him and Becklin and yourself, no one's really armored at the moment. You just woke up in the morning, came over here, and we're getting ready. Everything's either still in your backpack, on you if you want, you can decide, or back at the inn. You can personally decide where you think it would be. But they're the same. He's in that same like morning clothes that he's wearing. Becklin's in like her almost pajamas at this point, just a shirt and linen pants. You slam a foot Sparta into his chest, center of body mass, and he flies back like 5 feet, skirts along the ground with like one single bounce as you kick him in the chest. You're not exceptionally strong, like supernaturally strong. You do know how to fight, you are a soldier, and you do have a good strength. That's definitely not to be worried about there. But this looked like a kick that should have come from like Leo or an orc or a Goliath or something much larger as he skirts across the ground. As you waited for like just the moment that he was in his like sort of wavering posture, stretching in the moment, he leaned back and you used that momentum to just launch him.
I'll just give what can you do? Shrug to Becklin, and then I'll walk over and grab a training sword and just kind of give it a couple swirls.
She gives a bit of a laugh, shakes her head. Darren, I told you that spa is for between nights of Solemnia. And yes, obviously, you might want to do it now, but you obviously weren't listening yesterday. Dagar said that gives you like a bit of a look and like a shrug. Not a member at the moment. So until then, you need to treat him like you would any other bandit or soldier. Fight for your life on the line. And as she does so and sort of twists around, let me have a check here. Without your armor, so Dagar, your AC 10 plus your dexterity modifier.
It's a 13 because my unarmored defense with barbarian.
With a natural 20 back,
Yeah, nice.
Becklin swirls around, and the hilt of her sword, as she holds the blade by the end of the long blade instead, smashes against your feet and knocks you onto the ground as you sort of tumble onto your back as well. Not knocking the wind out of you, but as you're just completely brought off of your feet, she walks across to you and helps both you and Derek up with one hand. I got to look after my apprentice. I'm sure you can understand.
Just give her a slap on the shoulder and kind of walk away and trying to hide the limp.
She gives a chuckle and walks over to the same sort of railing and bench here at the moment near Fenrir and leans back against it. Derek sort of looks towards you. Okay, you're not going to get me like that again.
I'll give him like a sword salute and just kind of wait for him to attack.
Okay, he rears into a position as well. And you and him are going to roll for initiative.
Ooh.
So let me select both of you. Combat. Derek only got a 9. What do we have for you?
Oh boy, I'm an issue fan. It gives me 7.
A 7. Okay, so the way that this is going to work is you're going to use your weapon as per normal. Usual hit points, usual damage, but we're going to classify every point of damage as non-magical damage. Sorry, as non-lethal damage.
Yep.
As when you're hitting with the sort of blunt end of the blade, the flat end, rather than the slicing end.
Yeah, definitely.
If you roll a natural 1 on your attack roll, you'll accidentally do a lethal attack. You will still hit, it won't be a miss. That's the only difference here. A 2 to whatever the armor class is, 1 below the armor class, will be a miss. A 1 will be a hit, but it'll be a lethal hit. This is just to show your control with your blade.
Yep.
But up first, as he sort of leans back, there's the noise of the wind and the fish and the sails and the echoing area of Vogler at the moment. He leans back across and lunges in towards you first with a lot more speed than you were expecting. And let me check here. No, an 11 does not hit you.
Oh,
You have
parried
13
off.
at the moment. Lovely. As you smash the blade up, and it sort of whirls around as he's still holding onto it, but it's arcing his hand with the force of your blade hitting his. He pulls it back in toward coming in for the second swing, as he does have multi-attack.
Pretty better fighter than I am.
Natural 1.
Oh.
You take 11 points of damage.
He kind of like gets my lip and actually makes like blood because he kind of like went through and actually did some damage. I kind of like licked my lip and spewed out a bit of blood.
He quickly pulls back. Oh, I'm so sorry, Darrett. Becklin shouts out, Darrett! I'm sorry, Daga, stop, halt. Are you okay? Do you need some time?
No, it's fine. There's no pauses in real fights.
Okay. Back at it. And he feels a bit like awkward at this point now, pulling back as that's his turn. As the first attack is a miss and the second attack actually accidentally hits you. Okay, it's your turn.
Yeah, being shit at keeping my cool, I'm gonna rage because I wasn't going to, but now he got me. So yeah, I'm just gonna walk forward and just hit him with the sword.
Lovely. Now explain to me for Daga, Knight of Solemnia, ex-Knight of Solemnia, Shades of Grey at the moment, years serving Virus in the keep, and not having much more to do than that, but just being a regular human as well. How does his rage look?
It's you just there's not a real noticeable change. You can just see like his jaw clenches. You can see like the muscles clench in his face, and then his movements go from all like kind of like a boxer kind of hopping like almost just like solid stance, and then just like stomping forward, and like it's like you can tell it's on kind of vibes.
He doesn't get used to it as you sort of change the stance. You change from the normal Knight of Solemnia stance. You change from quick hits, quick parries, and blows such as that to instead just a full bat swing, like a baseball swing with your blade towards his arm. Just if it was like a straight cut and it hit something that would try to just like lop him in half from one arm torso to the other arm. A 12 does hit. Roll damage.
11 points of damage.
11 points of damage plus your strength because you're raging.
+2, so 13.
13, lovely. That will bring him down to that. Okay, so as you see, he does seem to be fairly tanky. You slice into him, and even though the slice was going through his arm, and well, it was the flat end of the blade will be nice here, obviously, and he knew that the blow might have even like shattered the bone of the force you were hitting him. He tries to pull back ever so slightly. The blow still hits him, but he doesn't take as much damage as you're expecting. Due to any resistances, just for all the DMs out here, a little bit of role play for why he didn't take as much damage, because obviously he is just a boy. But that is your swing. Now you don't have multi-attack at the moment, do you? Do you have anything for bonus action? Was the rage, so that is your turn. But now that you're raging, you'll be taking a lot less damage. He swirls around and instead this time goes to try to push you off of your feet as he tries to do the same blow that Becklin had just done to you. You've already seen the same thing once. So can you give me a contested athletics check? You're raging, obviously, so you'll get advantage on this.
23.
Oh, he was close. He knocks out your left leg and you go to start tumbling. And as it hits the other one, you lift up the heel of your foot and catch his blade into the ground, pushing it down. He goes to try to pull it free and slipping you out for a second athletics check, as he was hoping that he might be able to hit you with this hit, but realizing he can't now. You've still got advantage, but he's trying to pull you off of your feet.
21.
An 8. As he goes to pull the sword out, you step down on it, putting your full body mass, swinging both of your arms into the sky for the next blow. His sword is pinned. Give me an attack roll. Your next turn.
I'm just gonna try and Sparky him again. not hit him. Just go for the straight chest kick again.
Oh, okay.
For a 22 to hit.
That hits. Roll damage.
It's 5 points of blood. Just unarmed strike, just 5 points of bloody damage, and just kick him back. And
It does use a strength modifier, so that will still be adding your 3. Lovely. What I will do as the unarmed strike is I will give him the actually it won't matter too much, because obviously he's just going to stand up on his turn, but he does get knocked prone. You just center of body mass, kick him one more time. He's like, you see that he's already dodging to the side, getting ready to dodge your hands that had rose up to slam down on him with this chaotic looking attack, and he does not see the foot coming directly towards his ribs as he just slams back, and you lift the heel off of the ground that was pinning his sword, and he scatters across the ground. Ugh. Okay, he starts like leering left and right, and darts back at you, going for 2 more attacks. We have a 19 to hit, and a 10 to hit.
The first one hits, the second one I'll like parry off.
11 damage halved down to 5.
Yep.
And your turn, as he sort of 2 quick slashes at like either shoulder. You dodge out of the side of one, but the other one, the blunt end of the blade slams into your shoulder, and you feel a little bit of the crack of your old shoulder bones.
I'm gonna go for a pump fake. I'm gonna pump fake with another kick, and then like kind of pull out halfway through, and then just smack him with the flat of my sword.
Okay, give me an attack roll.
12
12 hit. Let's roll damage.
for 15 points of damage.
15 points. That brings him down to the point where, as you sort of slam into his arm, he like winches in pain as he goes to block it, and it hits a couple of his fingers, and you hear like the audible crack of them. Not enough that it wasn't a large enough hit that it would have obviously like permanently damaged anything, but it definitely like broke some fingers and will take some time to heal. Shakes his hand in pain. Okay, submit, you win. Damn it, I practiced that swing so much. Good fight, and he puts up the uninjured hand, sort of nursing the other one, and with a not angry at all, a sort of frustrated but excited smile.
Yeah, I'll kind of see like his like anger drop, like when he's like fighting, he's obviously adrenaline anger drop into like a small fight, and then kind of be like, oh fuck, I'm just he's angry at a kid, and I'll drop my rage, and then I'll full like predator class him as well. And
Lovely.
It was a good fight. You, Becklin, that trip attack, she taught you that well.
Yeah, I not good enough though. Oh, you're really good. I'd never seen a fighting style like that before. Did you learn that from Esterwild and the barbarians up there?
Kind of. It's a gross blend of the Knights Slomia fighting style used to, and some more just aggression styles from the barbarians up there. A weird blend of the two.
Cool. You sort of like playing it off, and realistically, it's no Esterwild. You were just angry, and you went like, me smash, and started swinging, forgetting all martial training that you were taught. Seeing the sort of injuries that sustained yourself as well, Becklin turns towards you. I don't mind sparring, Dagar, obviously. I wasn't expecting you both to go so hard against each other with this small little tournament, and I have a bit of an unfair advantage now. Rather than doing a 3-way tournament between us, why not let's have a little competition? I see that one arm's still good for you, still good for Derek over here. Let's have an arm wrestling contest. Whoever wins will buy festival drinks and food for the others.
I know, can you afford it, kid? I give him like a little slap in the back.
He chuckles, and then like he winches in pain as his fingers are still broken. Yeah, I can afford it. Becklin, yes, you can afford it. Okay. Well, I'll let him rest his hand for a second, and then he can use the other hand. So why don't you and me go first? Fenrir, do you mind helping me pull over this barrel?
Yeah, sure.
He moves it across. Did you also want to partake at all?
No, just I'm a happy observer. Arm wrestling's not really my thing. I do have a question though.
Yeah,
And
yes.
I gestured to the group of people that I saw earlier, down fishing or shooting hawks with that. That's an interesting group down there. You know much about them?
He's right, Becklin. Weren't they meant to be with Cudgel? I thought they weren't meant to come down to the village. Yeah. Both of you are right. Cudgel did say that she had 2 lieutenants, though. One was quicker on his feet, ex-bandit, a human, but she says that she trusts him solely. And the other, she said she's been traveling with for years, an half-ogre. That looks like that might be him. I can't remember what she said his name was, but that may be the half-ogre that serves Cudgel. I know that their kind may be a bit hard to control. Cudgel has said that even though he's loyal, he does prove a bit troublesome sometimes getting into ruckuses. That's why she didn't want them coming into the village.
They're not part of the festival then today?
They're partaking in the reenactment this afternoon, but Cudgel had just told me that she ordered her men to stay at their encampment a mile north of the village and a mile north of High Hill, just to make sure that there wasn't any ruckus or problems. I'll just go and have a chat to them. They should be fine. Fenrir. Yeah, actually, just to be on the safe side, they are mercenaries. Would you all mind just, I guess, coming for a quick walk?
Yeah, sure. Happy to.
Lovely. We'll hold the arm wrestle off till later, and she gives you a shove. As she gives you a shove, can we use this as the contested athletics check, just against you and Becklin? You're no longer raging, so a flat roll.
18.
She shoves back against you, and getting a bit back at the trip that she did, you like push your body weight into her rather than just your elbow, and she stumbles a couple of steps to the left and looks back at you with a sneer and a smile. Very good. As you're all walking, Fenrir, can you give me an investigation check as everyone's approaching the people at the front?
He's going to say so too. As we're kind of leaving, I'm going to put my actual sword belt back on with my proper sword instead of the training sword, just in case.
Okay.
23.
Lovely. With a 23, as everyone's approaching, you can see that they seem to have some of the gear for this afternoon ready. You see long spears that are normal spears, but on the end, all of them have like these fist-sized corks put on the end, blunting them. I say you might have seen a couple of them before back in your homeland with the dwarves and your father. These are usually the way that they'll mark like weapons when they're for ornamental use. When it's not for actual military, this is how they would have the spears looking during some sort of march. The guards would have their spears lined with these. Enough that the spears can be seen and visible, but not enough that anything dangerous might accidentally happen. And so, yeah, them lying ground beside them. You see the half-orc, and it seems to be with 3 other humans as well, that are all sort of just fishing. Most of them are wearing their Iron Brigade armor. Seems to just be a mixture of half-plate. The only one that doesn't wear armor like that seems to be the half-ogre, as you all approach. As you are approaching, on your way there, Becklin does have a brief conversation with you, Dagar. I will say, obviously, it's not the best of moments. Derrit and Fenrir are sort of walking ahead, Derrit excited and wanting to sort of see a half-ogre for the first time, just again wonder-wise by everything. And Fenrir being, you can tell that from the way that he's walking is sort of cautious and even a bit worrisome, just in his general persona and the way that he sort of acts, investigating the group as they start approaching. Becklin sort of backtracks a couple of steps with you. If you don't mind me asking, why did you? What happened with you in the Knights of Solamnia?
I don't think we have a long enough walk to describe the full details of it, but we, I used to serve under, well, I was the squire for Vinacilrus.
Yeah.
These
Oh,
were
wait, Vinacilrus,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ancestor.
So we like to say, yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I rumors spread a little bit, obviously, and I've tried to keep an eye on the unfortunate spreading of corruption in the Knights. Just keeping tallies on people, and he was number one on my wanted board, I guess you could say, on people that I would like to speak to firmly and try to pull their heads in.
Yeah, well, I spoke to him very firmly, and I kind of like rubbed my knuckle, and I think he's pretty set in his ways. He has a duke that they're kind of wrapped around each other's fingers, and they're both on the more negative side of things. But actually, the night I left, you might has the name Fire Eyes ever come up at all? Is that name sound familiar to you? I don't know much more than that. I saw a letter with the name Fire Eyes in it.
No, I don't think so. What was the purpose of the letter?
I'll pull out the letter and show her.
Takes a look over it, seeing the correspondence between the Duke that had the keep where your mentor lived, along with this Fire Eyes, basically stating that Nordmar would not interfere with the oncoming slaughter. You're not sure what it all means. You're not sure what the ominousness is of this oncoming slaughter. There's even a bit of worry in the air as these lizard-like creatures that these other people saw. However, that's also a bit confusing, as the letter and the Nordmar and people that the mayor had told you about are apparently down southeast towards the nations of Kerr, not where you are.
Yeah, I'm far to the east, wasn't I?
Yeah, exactly. You are from the northeast, and the people that they were contacting in this Fire Eye, supposedly, from the southeast. The reptilians, from what you've been told by these individuals, Leo, Tal, and Fenrir, supposedly were here at Vogler, and also traveled north when they were retreating wounded. So it feels like it might be two different circumstances as you sort of think about it for a second, but are worried about the fact that this letter mentions like the oncoming slaughter. That does seem troublesome. There have been rumors of beasts in the east, supposedly large creatures causing havoc, war beasts on the ground being tamed. That's what I'd heard, at least. I don't know if you've heard any sort of rumors at all. But no, I can't say I know of Fire Eyes, and I don't know what's going on over there. If anything, I guess, closer towards that direction, Calaman itself may have a bit more of a understanding of it. They're on the fringes of the nation of Solamnia there, and their garrison is much more active than anywhere here, as they're usually dealing with the barbarians from Esterwild. Hopefully it's not, hopefully it is just some barbarian from Esterwild that might be going on some sort of war campaign, and Nordmar's not wanting to be involved. That would be my educated guess. Fire Eyes, maybe they have blood paint markings around their eyes. I know that the Nordmars paint themselves with the blood of their foes. Sorry, the Esterwild.
Could be a barbarian horde trying to pay for them to step aside while they, pillage and go through smaller villages around the side.
It's what they're known for. Esterwild's always been raiding the farm regions of Calaman, and oftentimes the surrounding areas of Nordmar as well. So if they have paid them off, that makes sense. That's my best guess.
I was going to look into it, but I did theorize that it might have been a barbarian horde, and if I now being roughly the only knight who, oh, as far as I'm aware, the only knight who isn't fought off over there, I feel like one against a horde isn't going to be very fruitful in my favor. And if it is these dragon people that Leo and his group were talking about,
Lizard people.
whatever they were, lizard people.
Okay. Well, it's definitely best that we keep an eye on it, because any mentions of slaughter and being paid off is definitely high problems, not the words of peace. So I'll help you with this as well. Maybe if I help you with it, you could consider rejoining. I know it's, you spent however long you did with Virus. I can already see that you're a man now, and I don't see you wearing the armor of a Knight of the Crown, which is unfortunate. But I might be able to help change that for you if you'd like.
I definitely consider it, but a lot of things in the order need to be changed before.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Can I do an insight check on her just to kind of see if she's on the level,
100%.
not just
Not just like giving you some tall tales of her own.
just blowing smoke at my ass. Yeah. 15.
15. You sort of squint your eyes a little bit as her head turns, and every so often you've kind of just been turning towards each other as you've been talking and walking. You're nearly at the ogre's group at this point. And you give her like a bit of a look up, take a look at her facial expression, body posture. You've learnt a good deal of how people lie living with all the nobles, unfortunately. She doesn't present any of those. She sort of is the same sort of acting and posture that you would see a commoner. Honest, straightforward, and something even unique among the commoners, confident and friendly. She's walking with a smile on her face. You can tell that she has purpose and knows what she wants to do. And you get a feeling of trust from her, like what she's wanting to do, and even the small things that she said so far about making changes in the Knights and the measure itself. She may be what Dagar's been looking for. This is only a first assessment, and it's going to take a lot more convincing, but you've been looking for a mentor that is actually a mentor, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. And so far, she's already proved that she physically is. She's halfway through proving that she mentally is, and you're getting a slight sense that maybe she also spiritually is. This may be someone that you could actually learn through.
Just give like a slow nod and be like, we'll definitely have another conversation about it at a different time.
Sounds good. In the meantime, and she just puts like the hand that's on the side of her blade on the hilt itself, just resting it there. Not enough to, you can tell it's not intent of attacking, it's just intent of like showing that she has it, like a sheriff showing their pistol off.
I'll do the same thing and just walk in stride with, like, get in step with her and walk with her.
Lovely. As you guys start to approach the group. Now, we would cut away from here and go to Ada and Leo entering the library, but before we do that, we're going to have our halftime break. Everyone can go to the toilet, go to the bog, do what you need to, grab a drink if you need to, get some food, bring it to the computer so you can eat and watch while we finish off the last half of the adventure, and we're going to do the same. So we will catch you all soon. Hello, hi, and welcome to the future. If you skipped ahead on the video, if you're watching this pre-record. So, we are picking up exactly where we left off. We have the party currently around the different areas of Thornwall Keep. As different things are going on at the moment. Some people outside are heading over towards the Half Ogre, which is apparently a member of the Iron Bridge Brigade. We also have some people heading into the library to study possible information about these reptilian creatures that were seen before arriving to Vogler, as well as a experiment that has just finished and began something new happening in Thorn's bedroom. But we're doing the last of everything now, cutting over to Tal, Leo, and Ada, as you hear the sort of conversations, the beginning of the spa match happening at this point in time still. You hear the sort of door opening and closing of Relena heading upstairs to speak with Thorn, and you guys have just walked into the study. The study itself is very impressive. There are walls on the left and the right and the back side of the room that all go from floor to ceiling with books. There's the roller ladders on the sides so that you can climb up and down to get from whatever shelf you want from all of the like 12 to 15 different shelves that it has. And then a large, nicely designed desk in the middle that even with just like your passive perceptions, you see a couple of designs of dragons and horns coming out of different areas. It all seems very like mythical in nature, obviously with dragons not existing in Dragonlance at this point in time as far as you're concerned. They're treated on the same stature as the gods. It's just things that I've mythed about. Did they actually exist? Did they not exist? What was the go with them? And the Knights of Solomnia are similar to that. Their helmet, being one of it, is the design of large horns that come from their head. And taking inspiration from those sort of reptilian creatures. Her desk has the same sort of Solomonic design. But as you three walk into the room, I'll pass it to you guys to either tell me what you would like to do or even roleplay a little as all three of you enter into this space and the quietness that sort of surrounds it, just the crackles of a couple of candles lit up in the areas.
I'm just going to look at the snake lady, and say, do you have much experience? Well, I know you've got a bit of experience with the books, but with studying and finding details in libraries?
Little bit. I mean, I do like a good book, so I give it my best shot in trying to find whatever we need to find, but I'm no, like, scholar, per se.
Okay, well, maybe we have a good look. The creatures that we experienced were quite deadly, and I've never experienced or seen anything like it.
Yeah. I've heard
What type of books are you guys keeping an eye out for?
The older the tomes, the better.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was going to say old. And then also I want to look at if there's anything on any form of lizard folk, like my race or anything like that.
Yeah,
as
ones
well,
that have
just
wings,
in
or
case.
just information about those races in general.
Well,
Like,
it was
obviously it would be-
described they had wings, so mostly wings, but all of it as well. But
Okay. Can all three, Tal, Leo, and Tal just silently sort of walks in between the group and automatically just starts looking at books, ignoring either of you. Could I get a investigation check from all three?
Sure, may.
Ooh.
20. I am actually quite good, apparently.
Leah might just help Tal, so she can do the best that she
Yeah.
can do. 21.
Okay. Ada and Tal both find two very different books. Tal with the help of Leo, finds like an old text, and the main reason all of you found it was in like the top shelf of the left wall, and the entire shelf was just like a good maybe half an inch of dust that you sort of scrape off with like some hands, moving it to the side, needing to move it so you can actually pull the book out. And as you pull it out, it seems to be titled The Lands of Nightland. But the odd thing about it is it's spelled with a K at the start of Nightland rather than just the Nighthlund that is usually Nightland.
And is Nightland one of the older kingdoms that has like since been destroyed, or is it like in decline?
No,
or...
So similar to how this region and province north of the river is known as Calaman, named after the capital, Calaman itself, south of the river on the other side, that province's area is still technically in Solemnia, but that province is called Nightland. It's directly on the other side of the Calaman River.
Okay.
And Ada, the book that you find as you're looking for any sort of creatures similar to yourself, things such as that, you're looking back across different tombs, and the only one that sort of catches your eyes is, it seems to say like a bestiary of crawling and winged monsters. You can't find anything on like... You find books on your races, and they seem to just be generic things. You flip through them, flipping to the stuff about your race seems to just be normal stuff. You flick to lizard folk, you don't know much about them, so you may want to read that one for later, but it's just like a general biography about them. And then you flip to that one, or you grab that one out, and it seems to be the only one that specifies any sort of like winged creatures of danger and things like that. As you guys grab the books, are you sort of just bringing them to the table together, working together, or just reading on your own?
I would be more assisting the ladies with like going like cross-referencing other books or helping bookmark things or writing down pertinent information, while being a little scribe, then kind of directing the search.
Okay, perfect. And the same thing for, what is Ada doing? She's bringing it down, and is she sort of just reading through it herself in her head, or is she sort of working together out loud? How do you think
Yeah, I'd
she'd
be working
studying?
together. Definitely working together with like Tal and that, depending on what she finds, and if I can get Leo to maybe get a book, or if I can have a quick look through another book, or bring that book, that lizard folk over if there's anything pertinent that I think might be in there, or yeah,
Okay.
big
Can I get
collaboration.
a second investigation check from all three? Or the advantage, obviously, just from Tal with the help action from Leo.
Oh, not as good.
24.
You're flipping through the books, and the main thing that seems to be the winged creature here, other than just like bats, giant bats, monsters like that, things that you've already heard of and seen. One creature, Ada, does come out to you as something that you hadn't seen before, a Dragoneel. It is spelt Dragoneel.
One more time, sorry.
Dragoneel. Dragon with EEL at the end. So the Dragoneel, the image that it seems to show is of almost, if you were to imagine a small normal lizard with wings coming from its back. I mean this in the sense of the lizard is very slender and agile looking, small arms, a small waist. The waist and chest and torso of the creature in the art seems to be drawn the same size as the limbs, the arms and the legs. Thinking of like, if you thought of a human having the same sized torso as they do their forearms, it wouldn't look natural, but it seems like the creature's made more for speed. You see a long snout that comes at the front, and then two very, very large wings. the information that it tells you about it seems to just explain that Dragoneels, the sort of one reference that people have of thinking maybe dragons were actually real. They're creatures that usually stay in high mountains or wasteland areas. There's recordings of them in this book, apparently, where they had been seen north of Calaman in the wastes, the same place where those reptilian creatures with wings came from. So that does kind of catch your eye for a second. Otherwise, there's not much more. It seems to just be an explanation of this creature, where they came from, and doesn't have much more than that.
And just to clarify, so dragons have never existed, or is this of the like people know that they're of a bygone era that's past?
They're very similar to gods at the moment. Some people believe they existed, like the gods. Some people believe the gods existed. I would say, however, the gods have a lot more prominent relics and ruins and things that actually show they existed. There's things that show the priests used to worship, stuff like that. Dragons, however, have been gone for as equally long as the gods, and at this point in time, they're thought to be myth, but unlike the gods, there's no reference of them. The Dragoneels are like the one thing that actually kind of looks like a dragon, and so a lot of people nowadays think that possibly people just confused Dragoneels for dragons. Maybe a long time ago they were larger, similar to like our world, how wombats used to be the size of rhinoceros, things like that. They think maybe the Dragoneels used to be bigger and were hunted down due to the more humanoid races becoming more civilized, stuff like that.
Okay.
It's not wholly known at the moment. But
Okay.
Dragoneels are a thing that definitely do exist, but they are rare in the world.
So the creatures that we, and I'm going to say this to the new snake lady friend, that the creatures that we fought, they were a lot slower. They weren't speedy, and then some of them didn't even have use for of their wings. That so.
Could it be like, could someone have some magic, I don't know, to mesh these Dragoneels with a person? Do you think, or is this?
I don't know
I
anything
don't know.
about that kind of magic or anything like that, so I don't know. But they were
I
intelligent
just mean
creatures.
off the look of them. That's what I mean off the look of them. Like, do they look like it could have been like? And then I'll put the picture up of a Dragoneel in the book and be like, could it be like this, but meshed with a person, like just off their looks that you saw.
In my mind, like I know what a Dragoneel looks like. Dragoneel's a little bit more cuter looking like, and these things are like hideous looking like. So I don't know, unless it got all the maddest looking Dragoneels out there and turned them into these.
Tal catches one thing and starts pointing at both books as you guys are discussing. What Tal notices, for you, Raimi, with her 24, is that the details in the Book of Nightland mentioned that the castle, which has a bit of a trope around it, as your character knows, Leo knows, of being sort of surrounded in this undead mist and never sort of seen. The castle was the home of a knight, a noble protector of the land, and he was apparently known as the Life Changer. That was his sort of title that he had gained, the Life Changer.
And we didn't know the name of the castle, did we?
The name of the castle...
in the mist, or it was just kind of like a mysterious castle in the mist.
Give me 1 second, because it definitely would be listed in that book. I just need to get it up on my side here. But in the book itself, as it's explaining over, it explains that this individual, the Life Changer, this knight, was the owner of that that keep in that castle and protected the land. Apparently, in his day and age, he was a mighty hero. Who protected not only Solomnia in Calaman, but some of Ansalon, like he protected the continent. And the other thing that she's pointing to in Ada's book mentions reference notes of information that people that information was gathered from, and it's has page ... and then a number for like the end of the book with the life changer, as if he was one of the references that gave reference for the Dragoneel.
Tourist.
So your best guess at the moment is possibly that this life changer, whoever this knight was a long time ago, has actually fought against these Dragoneels, studied them or whatnot, and either been investigated or interviewed or partook in like some stuff like this himself as well, giving information to this book writer. The information about the castle is it is called Dagard Keep. Dargard Keep. Dargaard. Dargard Keep in Nightland.
And that was in the mountain range that was south of Kalaman.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But that's basically the most of what you guys kind of learn. These Dragoneels that exist at the moment, but are very reclusive. And this individual that's sort of named in both books, a bit of a celebrity in his day and age.
I'm just going to say, maybe if we want to learn more, I'm not sure how pressing your time is, but if we want to learn more, maybe we could potentially go up to this keep and have a little bit explore, see if there is any more study about it. Because the idea of, like you said, someone putting them two together to make some kind of human Dragoneel offspring is a bit of a horrific thought.
Yes, definitely.
At the same time as you guys are sort of finishing this up and you've been studying for a little bit, Raylina enters the room, seeing you guys sort of studying, and has a look through the doorway.
What you doing?
Studying.
Yeah. Oh.
Would you like to join?
You guys look like you got your hands full.
I'm just going to throw a book at her to get her to catch it, like in a like many hands make light work.
Oh, what are we looking for?
Did you heard about our encounter with some lizard, demonic-looking evil creatures outside of town?
I saw the aftermath. You came in and I fixed up your wings a little bit.
Well, we're just trying to find if there's any origins on it in the history books. We found that there is a species called Dragoneel, which are like small kind of bird-like lizards that are quite speedy and quite fast. They're known in the world through the ages of time. We believe that they could have been what people think dragons are. And then a gentleman that lives in the mountains, in the mist, in a keep called Dargard Keep, called the Life Changer. He had some encounters with these creatures, so I'm not sure what your plans are, but we could go check it out and see if there's any more information about it. The very talented young lady did mention that they could be half making humanoid Dragoneel creatures, which might be a bit horrifying.
Yeah, you're like a medicine-y, magic-y person, right? Have you ever heard of people like, but like medicine-y? Could people like mesh?
Your mother has taught you to mix strains of things. If they work like plants work, yeah, sure, but you'd have to crush them, grind them, and then push them together. That's it. You sort of think about that and you sort of wince a second.
At least not in my knowledge, I don't think so. I've almost reattached a severed fingered once before it fell off and died again, but I don't think that would work if you put like the head of one of those eels onto a person's body. I feel like you just kill both creatures. I mean, I don't know any magic, but unless your magic can bring things back to life like that, but even then, I don't think that'd be a very fun way to live.
not heard like any magic things, even though I only had a brief time
You're the
within
expert.
Yeah, I'm just stabbing at things. I don't know if I've heard anything, if I know of any higher magics that obviously I won't have access to for a while, but if there's any higher magics that have the capability of one, bringing things to life, but in a way that it's how the person bringing them back to life wants it to be.
Just in case, either your mother might have taught you, or Lady Talia might have mentioned it. Both of you just give me a Arcana check, just as you're sort of conversing and thinking about it.
Oh, an 18.
14.
Both of you sort of think for a second, and Ada, you remember back to Lady Talia mentioning during one of her studies that she would often test her experiments on individuals, criminals, and people such as that. She was a black-robed wizard out of the three colors that could be an option. As you learned what the robes meant, it started to make a bit of sense. And she did mention that when they'd run out of their usefulness, she would bring them back and press the reset button.
Okay,
So
lovely.
that
Fantastic,
may
great.
give information that it's possible. And Relina, you're thinking about it, and the most that you know is your mother used to try to scare you as a child with stories of zombies, creatures that would have corpses sort of put together from different body parts and would smash into doorways. And you remember then the next day, Thorn pulling a prank, walking in with a bunch of meat on his head and arm and legs and pretending to be a zombie and trying to scare you.
That's how he got his first black eye. Speaking of eel dragons, or whatever you call them, there was like, I think it was last week, I think. There was some drunken fool at the Brass Crab. He said that he saw some like dragons to the east, but everyone thought he was just being drunk or just trying to make a good story. Everyone kind of blew him off and just thought he was just talking shit in some rumor he was spreading. But he said, from what I heard, he said he saw some dragon things to the east. It's probably your little eel dragon things.
Did he mention like what size it could have been? Did he say it was massive or it was small? Was it?
It changed when each time someone asked him. So he said it was the size of a dog, then a horse, then a large horse. So it changed when everyone asked him. So I don't know. A horse? He was very drunk. I mean, people really kind of just blew him off.
Was that in the direction that you saw them, Leo?
No, ours was to the south. Just before the river crossing.
Okay.
As you guys are coming to conclusions and trying to piece things together, Fenrir, Dagar, Derrit, and Becklin are all approaching this half-ogre now at the moment. Fenrir, you're first, and the half-ogre sort of sees you approaching, gives you a bit of a nod, and then gets back to his fishing as you're making your way.
I give him a nod back and ask him if I can join. Looks like fun.
Yeah, sure. We are only hunting with bows, though. I see you got one. Good shot.
No, it's something I could put a wager on.
Hey, shoves one of his like the humans beside him off of his feet from the little stool that he's sitting on. Okay, how much you got to pay?
Let's go with 1 gold piece. Start light.
Okay, light. He says 1 gold piece. Well, obviously, someone's from wealth. Okay. Pulls out a little sack and puts it on the side. Little bit of a hunting competition. First person to take down anything, size doesn't matter, grabs a gold, and he pops a gold in, and the other 3 humans pop a gold in as well. At this point, Becklin and Derrit are sort of just watching, and Becklin's letting Fenrir do his thing, smoothing things over before you ask them to like move on and head north. What's Dagar doing? Daygard just standing with them and watching, or wanting to take place as well?
No, he'd just be next to Becklin, just kind of getting a good read of everyone there, and just looking at, making sure no one's like not like kind of there's not one in the back, kind of half pulling a dagger or something like that.
Well, as everyone's preparing, what I'll get from you, Fenrir, as you sort of get your bow and start looking at the seagulls that are flying above the water and the cliff edge at the moment here, is an attack roll with your bow. For Dagar, could I please get an insight check?
Ooh, 21 on insight.
Nice.
Natural 19.
8.
Oh, what I will say, roll with advantage, and this isn't even just to sort of make up for your 8. You are shooting at a creature that doesn't know that you're attacking it, so it would technically be with advantage, like a surprise round.
Okay.
So roll one more time.
With advantage, yeah.
Oh,
That's
Jesus.
fine. Lovely, natural 20. Okay, so first, Dago. As they're preparing, you see Fenrir is like taking his aim, and the first arrow darts off and sort of fires wide, missing, and then takes a breathe in for a second, starts aiming. The ogre sort of is chuckling at this point and hasn't even fired. Is just waiting to see how this chap acts, thinking he's. So you can tell from the way the ogre's acting that he definitely just straight away thinks that he's better than Fenrir. But what you gather is sort of looking over them and just taking a look at the situation is the humans seem a little tense.
Like nervous or?
Yeah, like what you would see one of the people coming to meet the royals for the first time at the castle, a thief on the street that you've just spotted them picking a pocket. You're not really sure why or how or whatnot with your role. You can just tell that they're nervous. You're not sure if it's about the large ogre that they're with that might have like bullied them into coming here. If it's the fact that Becklin's come here to get them in trouble and cudgel their captain and commander might find out and they might get in trouble. Or if they were doing something sinister here, but obviously that you've been watching them most of the time, and Fenrir saw them. They were just hunting seagulls on the cliffside here. But they seem nervous, the three humans.
I'm gonna just kind of like just look around, like I'm just kind of bored, like just act like I'm looking bored, and kind of just take like 2 steps around and just look bored, and kind of walk up. So I'm facing away from them, like shoulder to shoulder with Beckland. And then, at an limb here, that's how she speaks it. I'm going to, in Slumnik, I'm going to just kind of say, do the humans look a little too nervous? Or is it just me? Then I'm just going to like look, just shoot her a look, and hopefully she understood that.
Back in Solomnik. Yeah, I think I see what you mean. They seem a bit tense, like they don't want to be here. Do you think the ogre might have hassled them? I know Cudgel gave orders and instructions, and if he's one of the lieutenants, maybe he pushed them around a little bit.
Can I just give a shrug and be like, could be something, might not be, and I'll kind of just give her a nod and kind of take a couple more steps like down the path, just kind of not past them, but just like maybe 20 feet down, just kind of like looking bored and just like kind of walking around, see if I can see anything more.
Okay, perfect. You start making your way down, just subtly investigating. With your natural 20, the first arrow flies short. The second one, the ogre at this point had just been watching you and sort of just waiting. A couple of the humans had pulled up their bows and started firing, still with that nervousness that Dagar noticed. But the ogre was sort of just watching you as the first arrow fires and misses and laughs, and he laughs and puts down the bow. Okay, I guess you can have some as you shoot a seagull flying just in front of his face, and it lands on the grass just in front of him.
So I guess I'll be taking that, but it was fun. What brings you fellas here anyway?
Yeah, you cheeky one, aren't you, you city folk? Okay, well, we're just having a bit of downtime. It's we've already been here at Vogler for 24 hours. Becklin's Becklin, you're here as well. We've been told by obviously Becklin and Cudgel not to come into the city. And look, Becklin, I'm not in the city. You see, there's the city over there. Points towards the keep. I'm out. But nah, Cudgel's been getting us to do training regiments and practice 24/7 since we've been here. Nothing but it. This morning, the same thing, and then we've got to practice with all the people joking around, pretending to be warriors. And look, be honest with you, despite your rich outlook, I can see from your get-up that you're a savvy individual as well, as he sees like the dagger on your waist. We're just trying to find some time to buy, basically. It's boring as shit. So that's why we're here. What's it to you?
For me,
Yeah.
just curious is all. I'm a curious kind of sort.
You know what they say about the cat?
What's a cat?
Curiosity. Come on, boys, I think it's time we head off. And he stands up. Dager, as you've been walking off, give me an investigation check.
Oh.
Actually, could I get a perception from Fenrir as well?
There's just a 12 on investigation for me.
Yeah. Dagar, you're walking past and you don't see anything suspicious. There's no one hiding in the trees. There wasn't anything that these guys are like trying to hide. You don't see any sort of sacks where they might have been looting the town a little bit. They are mercenaries. You do the usual checks that you would of thieves, robbers, and stuff like that. And they seem clean. You're not sure why the humans seem stressed. You hear the conversation happening between Fenrir and this ogre, who still hasn't even introduced himself at this point. And you can hear the sort of conflict rising in their voices, passive-aggressive, both of them talking to each other. The snarky remark there from the half-ogre. And your best guess is that Becklin might just be right. He might just be like pushing his weight around a little bit. Fenrir, as the ogre sort of stands up and goes to start leaving, he turns on his way, and you don't notice too much. You see the garbs that he's wearing, hide armor, doesn't really seem to care too much about armoring himself, obviously fairly confident that he's not going to be hit, because he definitely could wear armor, similar to all the humans. He has two like hand axes, two war axes on his waist. And the sort of way that he's walking around, and even the thing that you saw with the fishing trip, fishing competition and hunting competition, he definitely seems to be arrogant. You don't see anything else other than that, like any of the gear underneath his cloaks, as he quickly turns and pulls his cloak around his waist. Becklin, be seeing you off, and I guess we'll have a fun time pushing around some fishes this afternoon. Yes, I guess we will. What's your name, by the way? To everyone here, it is nice for me to introduce Dragonelance. But for the rest of you, don't think I'll be needing to catch your names. We'll be leaving fairly soon anyway. Isn't that right, boys? And the humans kind of nod awkwardly, not saying anything. Still that same nervousness that you pick up a second time now, Dagar. A bit more obvious. Okay, well, you head back to your camp. You know Culture's instructions, and I don't want to cause any problems for you. I won't say anything, so you have a nice afternoon, and we'll see you then. Will do. We'll catch you around as well, rich boy, and gives you a nod, Fenrir.
And I'll right back.
start walking off and start making their way along the cliffside and the trees up towards High Hill, and then further, obviously, where their camp will eventually be, but just walking off at the moment. As they're sort of out of earshot, Derek sort of speaks up. Whew! Fenrir, you're a hard fellow, aren't you? I nearly peed.
That's what I should have said. You know what they say about the bigger you are. No?
No.
No?
I
Okay.
I just mean, like, I've Becklin's told me things, the adventures that her and Nispin and Cudgel used to took, and ogres, they're people. They snap people like twigs. You got big balls.
Yeah, I'm just I'm really agile and a quick runner. I don't believe ogres are that quick.
Wow, okay. Well, that was cool. Becklin has a bit more warrior across her face and is making eye contact with you as you start walking back, Dagar, to the group. I'll pass it to you guys in case there's anything. Otherwise, that you sort of start walking back, and Derek sort of like bouncing around Becklin very excitingly, asking her questions about ogres again and the mock-up fight this afternoon, and if he can join in. And she keeps saying that no, it's just for the militia, the fishermen that serve the mayor to sort of practice and do the festival. It's not meant to be an actual fight. As they're sort of talking in front, and you two take a couple of steps behind for you both.
Are we able to talk to Becklin?
Yeah, if you'd like to, you can call her back if you'd like to. I was just seeing if there's
yeah.
anything that either of you would discuss with each other.
As passing, we just said that was a good shot.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, also, yeah, you can add. I forgot to do this. You can add. What was it? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 gold.
4 gold.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Easy money.
Awesome. Easy.
But yes, as Dagar mentioned, it was a nice shot, and you recall that despite his smack talk, you did beat him in the physical contest that was shown.
Yeah.
We're honest. You calling Becklin back?
Yes. Becklin, can I speak to you for a second?
Yeah, sure. Derek, why don't you run ahead and see how the others are doing in the study? Show them around in case they've gotten lost with anything. I know that you've been restocking the shelves as of late. Yeah, okay. Catch you all around. And starts like sprinting as fast as he can, like a child, despite the fact he's still 20, just like running as fast as he can along the cliffside. And running as close to the edge of the cliff as possible. Yes. Look, Fenrir, I want to apologize first for that. You shouldn't have to put up with silly frustrations like that. And Dagar, I overheard from some people what happened at the bar as well with the individual and their Knights of Solomnia deal going on. Vogler is a lovely place. Unfortunately, I don't want to sound like I don't like outsiders, but the person visiting was from obviously outside, another friend of Ispin's, and the half ogre. They're known to not be very temperamental, but that's a member of Cudgel's forces. I'm hoping that you've seen some nice people around Vogler and you're at least having a good time here.
Yeah, I mean, you get arseholes everywhere, but for the most part, it seems like a nice town.
Okay. But yeah, Fenrir, how can I help you? What was up?
So, just in regards to this reenactment happening later,
yeah,
I'm not a big fan of crowds. Is there any chance? But I'd really like to see it. Is there any chance that there's a high spot near the reenactment that I can kind of get a bird's eye view on, for a chance?
Well, the battle itself of High Hill, all the people that are usually watching will tends to be in the forests below the hill. They're usually there because they want to get a good view in case people fall down the hill and hurt themselves. They like to see the crashes. It's excitement for them. But for all the people battling on the hill, they'll be on the main standpoint. There's a little walkway. One force will start at the top, the other will start at the bottom. And there's a tree at the top of the hill, which usually I'll stay posted at with Derek, and we'll overwatch the entire ordeal, kind of like referees, more or less. If I was actually going to invite all of you, points towards Dagar as well, to come and watch the fight from that perspective. It would be useful to have another couple of capable hands, obviously, and all of you are more or less adventurers from outside of the realm. So if you'd like to come, you can sit in the tree and relax if you'd like to, if you like a perched up spot.
Sounds like my kind of thing. Thank you, Bagel.
What about yourself, Dagar? Would you mind coming and helping me regulate as well?
Sure.
Lovely, lovely. Well, I'll ask the rest of everyone, but aside from niceties, obviously there's important things we need to get to. Whatever these creatures were that you and your entourage saw, Fenrir. So I guess we better head off as well. At this point, you guys are sort of walking up the stairs and then turning left into the study. Derek was already ran in at this point, sort of looking around at the dragon eel and getting excited by all the things that you guys have found. Oh my god! Magic forcing things together. That's like zombies. Hey, Relina. Remember that time Thorn made you peed the bed?
Shut up. That wasn't proven. I spilled water. I'm going back to like stacking books like a card tower. I'm bored.
But dragons, tiny dragons, like dragonflies. They're called dragons. No,
Little
insects.
bit bigger.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never left Vogler. I don't really know much about the outside world. So, but is there any books I can help you find? Anything you're looking for? Asks like the rest of you all in here at the moment. By this point, Dagar, Becklin, and Fenrir have all sort of stepped into the doorway, so you're all here now.
There's just like mountains of books everywhere over these desks.
Yep.
Spread out, opened everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep. If there's any books on like history mainly pertaining to dragons or any form of that, or any of the gods who mention dragons, or anything at all in that sense that you'd be able to help us find in case we missed it.
We do have a book. Becklin, you said that it wasn't really important at the moment, but that book about the deities, it like taught about them a little bit, but you said that no one really reads about it anymore, and the only time someone's actually come to read it was Raylina's mum asking about Mishkatel. I'm pretty sure in that book there was a couple of gods that were dragons. I always thought, obviously with the rumors that dragons are real, that maybe the dragons and the gods were like the same thing, and that's why when one disappeared, they both disappeared. But
Maybe. Yeah.
I can find that book if you'd like. Give that a read through.
Yes, please. Thank you.
He runs off and starts scurrying, trying to take a look on where it might be, pulling books out left and right and center. For the rest of you as you arrive, could I please get an insight check from everyone bar the two people that were just out with Gregornis?
Hey, Tell is rolling like a champ.
Relena is way too busy making her book pyramid.
Tal notices, funny enough as being the mute of the group at the moment, Tal notices the anger and frustration is sort of, even if it's not prominent, is still definitely slightly visible on Fenrir as he sort of walks off to the side and starts grabbing some books to take a look at.
Wait, what did I miss?
I don't know. Tell
me something. Sorry.
Tal knows. I thought you were deciding how you were going to interact with him as a mute.
You had a mad monologue.
No. I was just like, hey, what's going on? No, sorry. Tal's.
Tal notices that Fenrir is looking frustrated from whatever happened outside. Obviously, as far as you guys are aware, it was simply just a spar between all of them. But she notices as Fenrir sort of walks across and grabs a couple of books out,
Do you mean Fenrir or
in
Dagger?
just Fenrir. I would. I don't want to make sure I'm jumping the gun, but is Fenrir annoyed at the moment after that interaction with Gregornis?
Yeah, kind of just didn't like that he had the last, like, kind of good say. And
I figured as much. I figured as much with your sort of background with your father and stuff like that. You've had a lot of conversations where he always had the last say, and this sort of just reminded you again of a larger, bigger figure that just wants to sort of push other people around. It just with the teenage angst that you have at the moment is currently how you're sort of viewing your dad. And so, yeah, the frustration and of not only how Gregornis acted, but the memories of that as you sort of walk across to one of the bookshelves. Tal, do anything or sort of just notice it and keep studying?
Yeah, she goes over to him and like just like looks at him and like puts her hand on his shoulder and then gives him like the thumbs up and then or the thumbs down. Like
I just kind of like knowing that it's like heat of the moment kind of thing. Like, yeah.
she like gives the shuckers and then kind of then goes to like like just roll the hands like if you want to speak about it, she's listening.
Fenrir, could you give me an insight check to see if you understand what Tal was trying to purvey to you? A 7. As Tal rolls her hand outwards towards you, like if you want to talk about it, it looks like Tal is like ushering you to like push you out the door, like go away.
Okay.
Like if you're gonna be angry somewhere else.
Yeah, I kind of just put the book down. And I was like, I'll just take a step back and I just stand in the corner and just sort of keep my distance.
She's gonna stand with you and just stand next to you and just watch the room, just like looking at you, nodding her head, and then looking at the group.
Tal thinking everything's totally fine, and Fenrir's just there, even a little bit more frustrated now.
This bitch.
As you're all looking through, after a little bit of time, finally, Becklin sort of comes down after a couple of minutes from one of the shelves. I found it. Ada and Leo. You were the main ones talking about monsters being pushed together and right. Here, this is the one that's it's just a religious text. There's not many of them nowadays, but Becklin managed to save one. She's a bit of a historian. And Becklin sort of steps up. Yeah, I don't know too much about the gods. Like I mentioned, you guys asked me about that sigil of Takesis. But this is where I learnt most of my knowledge. It's the only thing I've been able to find in all of Ansalon in my travels that mentions much about the gods. If you want to take a read through it, it might give you some information.
Yeah, definitely.
I do my best reading at night. Do you mind if I borrow this? Hold on to it for a bit while we're here in town?
Yeah. No, that's fine. In the meantime, I guess until the festival begins, Ada, did you want to give it a skim over and then we can pass it over to Leo after? No
Yeah,
problem.
and I'll look at Tal in the corner and be like, I need another set of eyes, please.
She's gonna turn to Fenrir, give him like another pat on the shoulder, give him a thumbs up.
I was like, I don't know how to take you. Like, first you want me out, and now you give me thumbs up.
She walks back.
Yeah, cool.
Oh no.
As Tal makes her way over and sits down, you both begin looking through the book. Can I please get an investigation check from Ada with advantage?
Oh, what's that? Nice. Oh, 21. That's
21. With a 21, as you take a couple of skims through the book, you see the details of Takesis, the same information that you'd sort of already known or people had spoken about her. The information here about the gods isn't detailed. The book itself is mainly filled up with information about temples, where they're located, stuff like that. If you wanted any of that information, you're more than welcome to, but none of it seems to be super prevalent for Solamnia. None of it seems to be in here. It's in other areas of the nation, nothing close by. The bits about the gods have large art details of their symbols. None of them seem to have pictures of what the vision of the god actually looked like is. Some of the script and words goes into minor details, but it's just images of their emblems, more or less. You read through the Takesis one, same stuff that you learnt before. It looks like the way that the gods used to work on Kryn was there was 3 sub-pantheons in the pantheon of the gods. There were the gods of good, the gods of neutrality, and the gods of evil. However, as you're reading through it all a little bit, you even start to connect some dots with your 21 to the daughters of Paladine, who is the leader of the good gods, and he's also a dragon. He catches your attention. You start reading through him. Just as Takesis is the head of the evil gods, and Paladine is the head of the good gods. As you're reading through all of it, the stuff that you do manage to catch and read about explains that he had 3 daughters, which were based around the 3 moons, the white, the red, and the black. You already know that you worship one of these moons. Worship, being a long sense, it's where you gain your powers from the red moon. And as it's sort of explaining them, and you start doing a bit of Sherlocking, connecting some things, putting bits and pieces together, you realize how the gods used to be worshipped. They weren't good, neutrality, and evil. Instead, they were light, darkness, and the in-between. Evil was just assumed to be evil by people because it was the embodiments of greed and self-worth and things such as that. Neutrality was seen as the way that it was of the because it was bits of both. And good was seen as the way that it was good was because it was mainly focused around self-sacrifice and healing, and the embetterment of other people rather than of yourself. Those then obviously over time were given titles and labels, and you realize that because in this book it doesn't title them as good, neutral, and evil. You're sort of just reading through that and recognizing some things here and there. With all of that information, I'll go into a little bit of detail about anything you would like to. As you see the thing about Paladine, you see the thing about the 3 daughters, you see the thing about Takesis. There's also information about the leader of the neutral gods, which is not a dragon. He's a little bit unique compared to the other 2. And then there's all the gods in between as well. So I'll ask you, as you're skimming through it before you pass the book over, what's catching your attention most?
Probably the dragon. What's his name? Parthion. Saying
Paladine?
it wrong, but Paladine, that one. Yeah.
No, that's okay.
About him being a dragon. What sort of dragon was he? Was there any other references as to any other dragons associated with him as him being a dragon?
No, there was association to dragons with him, but it doesn't go into super details. What it reads is, Paladine is known as the Father of Good, the Master of Law, and the Platinum Dragon. So these, again, like it says, were titles given to him. He was just the god that was associated with the light, but he was already titled by mortals at that time the Father of Good. On other worlds, he is known by many names, and this sort of grabs you for a second, like this is speaking as if there's multiple worlds in the place that you're in. You do know there's multiple moons, because you worship some of those. He leads the gods of good, and watches over the world with an eye toward order, justice, and mercy. He teaches that wise and just laws are the basis of functioning society, and his clerics often aid in crafting and upholding laws. Paladine is represented by a platinum dragon, and his symbol, as you see it in the sort of book drawn largely beside him, seems to be a triangle with sort of Norse runes carved on it. And the ends of the triangle sort of arc out, the right corner arcing out right, the top corner arcing out left, and the bottom corner arcing out to left, as it sort of spirals ever so slightly. I'll put a picture in the chat for the players, and obviously everyone at home, you can take a little look and Google what the image of Paladine looks like. But that's sort of what it tells. It doesn't really explain if dragons worshipped him, if he was dragons one and the same, like what Derek sort of suspected. You're not totally sure, but it does explain that about him, that he was good, sort of the anti-ness of Takesis.
And I'll talk back to Leo and say the little dragons you saw were obviously very dark and disgusting, so I do not see that there would be a connection between Paladine, but I don't know. lots of things happen. Just
Yeah, with what you just said, I agree. It didn't come across as something of a light nature, I guess. Not evil, but it was definitely it had a dark menace to it. It also, before we got there, had killed some guards and knights. So, it definitely wasn't fighting for the tenets that you had said that this god was.
If you don't mind me asking, there's not many around nowadays. This is Becklin speaking. What knights were killed? Do you know which order?
I don't think we investigated that too hard.
You did see the armor that they were wearing. Can you give me a history check, as you're remembering back to the moment?
Oh boy. Yeah.
I'm still in the room. Do you want me to give a history check also?
Yeah. If you're still like frustratingly from
I'm
Tao
still
listening
sulking.
to the conversation, yeah. give me a history yourself as well. Being able to join in on the conversation, if you would like to. You remember that, and you're sort of holding your tongue at the moment. They were wearing the same but more dirtied armor of Knights of Solemnia, the same sect.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I tell Becklin.
Thank you. Yeah, I just had a little lapse in memory there.
Derek sort of jokes for a second, getting a bit old. All you grey hairs.
I'm gonna shoot him a glance like, I will Sparta kick you out this tower.
He looks towards you, and the smile like disappears instantly. Oh, I'm sorry. And looks and starts busying himself with books. Becklin turns towards you, Fenrir. I was worried as such. The knights, since everything, Dagar, and possibly even thought of doing it yourself, have turned towards mercenary work in some areas. They need to pay the bills, obviously and understandingly, but it means that they're not quite following the measure, even in ways that should be done, responsible and respectful and law-keeping. So, unfortunately, it puts them in dangerous situations. She like gets on her knee, and Dagar, you see that she's doing the measure for basically like a prayer for lost soldiers, as she sort of kisses her fingers and then raises her hand a little bit to the sky. Stands back up. Okay, well, for now, let's put this on hold. There's no danger to the city, and even if there is, we have a cohort of mercenaries to the north led by close friends, so if any danger comes, I think we'll be safe. Otherwise, the Kingfisher Festival's about half an hour away, so you guys should start heading back down to the town. Grab up the book, Leo.
The battle first? The battle?
No, the battle's not till this afternoon.
Oh.
The Kingfish Festival will go on for a good portion of the day. At this point, it's about 11 a.m., 12, like just getting to midday as the morning's starting to go by. The way that she's telling you, basically, with the sun going down, the festival's about to begin. The reenactment won't happen until about like 5 p.m. When it starts getting like orange and purple in the sky again as the sun starts going down. No, it's not going to be for a while. So yeah, go down, have some fun. Mayor Raven is down there, and she's organized a fantastic event in thanks for Ispin, and to make it as grand as possible. Some of you see if you might head down to the fishing competition. She usually partakes in it. No one has ever beat her, and who knows? One of you might catch the fish, the bog of the water. If you do, let me know. I've been in Vogler for a while, and ever since I've been here, all the fishermen always are talking about it all the time. I think they call her, and Derek shouts up, I know, Benagog the Bog. If you catch Benagog the Bog, you have bragging rights over every everyone. And I'm pretty sure Yalmi has offered a full night's stay in the house. The Brass Crab paid as well, if you do. Obviously, you guys already have places to stay, so she might have another reward for you. Yeah, Benegog the Bog. She's a carp that's about 15, 16 feet long. So,
Jesus. I mean, gods.
Otherwise, Becklin mentions okay, well, I'll help make my way out with all of you. Leo, you're welcome to take that book. And I guess I'll be seeing you all later. I need to head down as well and just patrol the streets, make sure people see me, make sure that it's safe. Some kids often fight and argue, and angry neighbors will sometimes cause problems when they start getting some ale into them. And so I just got to keep an eye on that. But it was lovely getting to know you all a bit more, and I'll keep the shield here until one of you needs it, or thinks that you may want to take it, which I hope you do. Think it over while you're walking around the festival. Think if you know anyone that may have use of it as well. But otherwise, I guess let's be on our way. And she starts picking up some books and just puts them on the table. We'll clean the rest here, so you're all welcome to start heading off. Derek, can you show them out? Yeah, okay. Well, nice meeting all of you. You too, bro, and gives you a elbow shove, Dagar. Not in like a sort of friendly sense, but like calling you like brother, as being both sort of the knights of Solemnia.
Just give him like a shoulder trap squeeze, and just give a nod and be like, "Watch those feet," and I'll give him a wink and then just walk out.
I'll get you next time, as you will slowly start walking out the door and making your way as you see the town of Vogler getting into full swing down across the cliff and in the full keep itself. You see from the top here the curved building of West Side House where Baccharis lives. Ada, you obviously haven't pointed this out, so you know where it is. You see, shaped like a crab with long parts coming out in multiple areas, the Brass Crab. You see Vogler's crossing the half-built bridge and a large tree in the center with the village circle. There's streamers everywhere connecting a bunch of the roofs and buildings itself. The park that is just below you guys has picnics set up everywhere, and many people having a merry time, drinks being had, couples laying down and sharing some intimate kisses as they have like bits of wine and cheese. And you see flying through the sky paper airplanes basically of fish being sort of thrown by kids here and there as everyone's getting into full swing for the Kingfisher Festival. Which we will end the session there on a nice high. There's no horrible end episode face pulling like last time. It's a nice sweet time, this one. And for all of you watching, thank you for sticking with us. We'll catch you next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. And we'll get into the festival of the Kingfisher as some people partake in some fun games, some drinks, and then we meet back with the Iron Bridge Brigade in the afternoon for the reenactment of the Battle of High Hill. See what happens when Gregornis gets back in the show, and maybe if during the festival some flirting continues to happen, if Yalmi manages to see Daga down in the festival. But otherwise, I hope you'll have a good time, and good night.
For those who today want to continue to watch some more of our content, we are streaming again on Thursday for our pirate-style campaign on the Seven Seas. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.
Happy New Year!